As simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we got used to it now.
Yeah. Talent driven,
Talent driven. Yeah.
We try to facilitate. In fact, I'm part of the committee that is what we call as WFO, work from office program. But, people are not willing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we need to look at some hybrid model. That's what we are debating a lot.
Yeah. So we have something called FOR, flexible office remote. We call it FOR.
Okay.
So we're going to formally launch it from Jan.
Wow. Yeah, I think we need to see how things will turn out once we have almost survived last 1.5, 2 years, right? So interesting. You are still stationed in Bangalore, right?
That's right. Yeah.
I know I read your title as head shared services. So we do a lot of shared services, but I just want to talk to you once on what kind of work you do, because ours is more what you call typical IT world, right? What shared services is basically to get things which are common for most of the teams and all that, right? Yeah. So I think I just thought probably we can talk a little more on what else we can probably.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes.
Good morning, all. Namaskar and good morning. I welcome everyone to this HR Conclave on Employability Skills for Industry Readiness in a Post-Pandemic World, hosted by IS deemed to be University, Jaipur, under the guidance of the Conclave patron, Dr. Ashok Gupta, Chancellor, IIS deemed to be University, Conclave Chairperson, Dr. Tian Mathur, Vice Chancellor, IIS deemed to be University, the Advisory Committee of Professor Rakhi Gupta, Professor K.S. Sharma, Professor M.K. Sharma, Professor Rupa Mathur, and Dr. Pradeep Bhatnagar, and of course, our program coordinator, Ms. Sharon Sampson. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome on this occasion our keynote speakers for the day, Dr. Kumar Vishwanathan, Head, Shared Service Mindtree Limited, and Mr. Sharat Babu, Director, Product Development, Oracle. Before we begin with the day's proceedings, let us seek the blessings of the Almighty with a Vandana.
शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर, शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर, मर्म में मेरे कृपा कर, मर्म में मेरे कृपा कर, आप आए हंस हंस पर शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर माँ करूँ तुमको नमन मुझको शरण में लीजिए माँ करूँ तुमको नमन मुझको शरण में लीजिए हे दयामयी देवी सिंधु हे दयामयी देवी सिंधु बुद्धि हमको दीजिए शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर नेह पाकर आपका वाणी अमर हो जाएगी नेह पाकर आपका वाणी अमर हो जाएगी ज्ञान मिल जाए हृदय की ज्ञान मिल जाए हृदय की कालिमा धुल जाएगी शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर मर्म में मेरे कृपा कर मर्म में मेरे कृपा कर आप आए हंस पर शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर शारदे वरदे कि मेरी बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर बुद्धि हो जाए प्रखर
Having invited the blessings of the divine, I now invite Conclave patron Dr. Ashok Gupta to deliver the inaugural speech.
Namaskar. I welcome you all to the mega virtual HR Conclave 2021 on employability skills for industry readiness in post-pandemic world. At the outset, I would like to express my gratitude to all the dignitaries for acceding to our request to be the keynote speakers and panelists for the session. It is indeed a proud privilege for the university to organize and host an event of such a stature and significance. As deemed to be university, Jaipur is an exceptionally cosmopolitan and vibrant university, moving into the third decade of its national presence as a leading institution of learning that grooms the world's next generation of creating leadership. The university largely focuses on preparing the students to become world-ready citizens who are primed to take up any professional and social challenges with an educated and empowered mind. An organization cannot build a good team of working professionals without good human resources. Good human resource management includes not just recruiting but also hiring the professionals with all necessary skills for which employability skills need to be steadily enhanced and enriched. In times of turmoil like the recent and ongoing pandemic, the top hiring priority is to appoint employees with appropriate skills. At the outbreak of COVID-19 had changed the world at large, not only lifestyles or basic patterns of movement, but also working conditions have drastically changed. There is an urgent need to adapt to new ways of survival, both financially and vocationally. Therefore, all around the world, focus and importance is being given to skilled professionals who are able to adapt to and are best fitted to the present times. In this way, the pandemic has set up what could be lasting employment landscape shifts that could require the large-scale reskilling of workers. To make sure that organizations thrive after the crisis, leaders and their teams should now build workforce skills which may further help them to define and execute appropriate and positive strategy. To keep up with these needs, the conclave aims to upskill the students to acquire and learn new employability skills, thus preparing them to be industry ready in a post-pandemic world. I am confident that through this initiative of ours, we'll be able to foster new employability skills in our future leaders, which will not only prepare them to face the workplace challenges, but also train them to excel in their chosen fields and open up whole new vistas of opportunities in the post-pandemic world. I once again welcome all the delegates, faculty members, and participating students to this conclave and wish the conclave all success. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Conclave Chairperson, Dr. Tian Mathur, to deliver the welcome address.
Namaskar. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the HR and Conclave that is focusing on employability skills for industry readiness in a post-pandemic world. The COVID-19 pandemic has created an environment that forced companies to adopt new methods of employment. As companies found themselves struggling to continue business as usual, it's HR that came to the force as a agile department, keeping the engine going by introducing new pathways to better work potentials. The pandemic has accelerated ongoing trends to adopt flexible work practices and using alternative sources of talent. There has been a fundamental shift in work cultures, and leaders and managers need to commit to a mindset and actions that support the need for manners by which employability skills can be revamped and improved to fit the current needs. In light of the new environments, we need to focus on new employability skills that provide the solutions which have the potential to be developed in order for us to return to relative work stability. I am confident that during this HR and conclave, the ideas presented by the keynote speakers and the panel discussion we have today would expand our visions and introduce new avenues of thought and action for sustained employability. I once again welcome all the delegates, faculty members, and participating students to this conclave and wish all the best. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Let us now be introduced to the first keynote speaker of the day. Dr. Kumar Vishwanathan is a human resource professional with a master's degree in management. He was awarded an honorary doctorate for people management by a New York-based university in 2019. With over 28 years of experience in the HR space in the IT industry, he pioneered and rolled out an enterprise-wide multifunctional chat box for Mindtree for their global workforce, which was the first of its kind in the world. He was recognized for his leadership, competency, and automation of shared service processes for the purpose of teaching management to MBA students in Harvard. Dr. Vishwanathan has also published 2 papers on world-life balance in international journals. We welcome you, sir. May I now request Dr. Vishwanathan to take the floor and deliver his keynote speech.
Thank you. Good morning, all. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, Kumar, you are audible.
Right. Thank you. So employability during the post-pandemic world. So before we get into the topic, I want to narrate a story that happened almost 18, 19 years ago. That was in Chennai. I was about 7 or 8 years in the HR field. On that particular day, I had to interview a candidate. And it so happened on that day, my office was a very small office in Chennai at that point in time. And we are going through some construction and we did not even have a proper gate for the office. So I walk into the room to meet that candidate and I saw one dog sitting next to the table. I was petrified. Even now, I'm extremely scared of dogs. I can't stand that creature. And the candidate, I could see he was also slightly uncomfortable, but we did not really go further into the dog issue, and we continued to have the interview. I asked him some questions, he answered some answers, and then it went on for about 20-25 minutes. It was one of the most uncomfortable interviews I had ever done. And then at the end, I asked him, typically like how we ask at the end of any interview to the candidate, is there anything that you want to ask me? He asked me, sir, why do you have a dog in the room? I was thinking he had brought the dog, and he was thinking I had brought the dog. And both of us, what we did was we did not solve any problem. We saw the problem. We underwent the suffering that we had because of the problem. Both of us made our own assumptions and we lived with it. And then, of course, the interview got over. No. So that is something that I stayed with my mind when I always think about problems and problem-solving skills that we always keep talking about. That was an opportunity for us to take the problem head on and see what we need to do. And if you ask me whether I interviewed the dog or the candidate, obviously I don't want to answer that question. So let's keep the dog away for the time being. I want to share with you a very interesting statistics. I'm sure I saw some 160 odd people who are here who are participating in this lovely event. All of you trying to build your own competencies in different streams as part of your education. Of course, you will also gain a lot more once you get out of your college and start getting into work. What is very interesting is, irrespective of what domain you get into, it can be engineering, somebody can get into medicine field, somebody can get into accounting, somebody can get into HR, somebody can get into music. There are varieties of opportunities available for all of us. What we call as core competencies that defines us, that where we find that this is where our strength is and this is what we want to do, basically the key strength area. One interesting finding, statistically, it's been found, they did a survey worldwide among people who were very successful after finishing their education, after about 15-20 years. People have spent about 15 to 20 years of time in career in different walks of life, in different domains, across different countries. They did a survey and they wanted to find out what really contributed to their success. The important thing that I wanted to share with you is only 23% was directly attributed to the core competency of these individuals, men, women, both gender, across the world. So what does this mean? 77%, which is a lot bigger than this 23, were important for those people to attain success. It's only 23% that your core competency is going to help you achieve the success that you want. So what are those 77% items? There are numerous things that can be clubbed under the 77%. It starts with communication skills, the ability to articulate your thought process and make the other person understand the way you understand. Communication is more about making the other person understand like how you understand, irrespective of what language or the tool that you use. It can be body language, it can be verbal communication, it can be anything. But at the end of the day, it's very important that we make the other person understand like how we understand in our mind. Leadership skills, problem solving skills, listening skills, creativity, critical thinking, judgment, decision making, negotiation. There are a whole lot of things that comes under this 71%. So out of this 30-40 minutes that I'm going to speak, my dear students, my dear friends, if at all I want at least one message that I want you to carry, it is this. It is those 77% that really matters in life. I'm not trying to undermine the importance of the core competency that you have. It's important. That's what defines you. That's a foundation. But if you get stuck only with that, you're not going to succeed in life. That's the only message that I wanted you to carry, at least one message. But if you're going to listen more, you can carry a lot more messages. So that's something that I thought I will start with. And another interesting thing, when somebody from ICT reached out to me a few days ago with respect to this particular event, and when I asked for the topic, when I got this topic, I was thinking that not much has changed. Almost some 20 years ago, when I was relatively kind of getting stabilized in the industry, this was still the same question that everybody was asking. So what are the things I need to do to be employable? Nothing much has changed. There are a lot of things that has remained almost the same. Of course, we have added as part of the evolution. There are a few things that got changed, but the foundation still remains. Whether you got graduated in the 1970s or the 80s or the 90s, or whether you're going to get graduated in 2021, 2022, many of the foundation still remains the same. It is extremely still important for you to have a very good communication skills, good leadership skills, problem solving skills, creativity, critical thinking, people management skills, decision making skills, etc., which are important for you to be employable. Now let's look at this term. When your father and my father and our uncles were working 15-20 years ago, and they started their career 20-30 years ago, you will notice that they would have worked in one particular institution for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, which is normal. 20 years, 30 years in one institution, in one company was considered normal during those days, which is uncommon these days. So they used to have what is known as job security or lasting employment. They want to retire in that particular firm. So we have evolved from a lasting employment to lasting employability. The word here is employability. Whether you have the skills to be employed by any employer. That's what we're talking about here. It's not about whether you're going to retire in that same company or not. It's about whether you are going to be attracted by future employers and whether you are going to be retained by your current employer once you get into the job. That's what employability is all about. So there are multiple things. Of course, foundation is you got to have certain skills. It can be engineering skills, it can be HR skill, it can be a marketing skill, sales skill, it can be accounting skills, it can be purchase skills, it can be anything that every company requires. What we call as core competency or our domain, our business domain. But please understand, like I said before, you start with those. It will help you knock the door, to open the door. But what will help you stay there and become a lot more stabilized in that is those 77% of other skills that I talked about. Now, the topic of employability during the post-pandemic world is something that we are talking about. What is going to happen to people who are going to come into the workforce now or in the next 6 months, 1 year, etc. But I want to expand this topic slightly more. We are now stepping into what we call as Industrial Revolution 4.0. Now, before I go to 4.0, I'm sure, just to refresh, many of you, at least the delegates, I'm sure will know what this 4.0 is all about. Let's go back to how it all evolved, Industrial Revolution 1.0. So from agriculture-based, production-based era, late in the 18th century to middle 19th century, that was the main occupation, way of generating revenue, generating income, and making livelihood. That's what all our predecessors were doing across the world. And then came Industrial Revolution 2.0, mass production, assembly line, late 1990s. That's when the Model T from Ford Motor Company also rolled out that Model T, early 20th century. And then there was assembly line, and the manufacturing started in all places across different industries. And then came the Industrial Revolution 3.0, advancement in electronics, the middle and the late 20th century. Electronics, computers, IT, telecom, internet, the dot-coms, all that happened mid 20th century and the late 20th century. And then now what we are now stepping into is Industrial Revolution 4.0, where we are talking about nanotechnology, blockchain, IoT, artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc. Now, the interesting thing is, don't get biased because I'm from Mindtree, an IT company. This is just not about IT industry. So all this IR 4.0, Industrial Revolution 4.0, is something that's going to affect or already affecting all industries across the world. There is blockchain, there is IoT, there is artificial intelligence across all domains in all companies that everybody is doing in some form or the other. Maybe the degree will vary, but it's affecting all of us. So what this means is when we come into the workforce, whether we join a automobile company, whether we join a medical insurance company, or whether you join a financial services firm, bank, or IT company, or anything, we all know this particular area is going to affect our work in some way or the other. So we can't shy away and stay away from this. So we got to embrace this, see how we can prepare ourselves, and see how this can help us progress in our career. And that's why continuous learning is extremely important. Continuous learning is something that is only guarantee that you can have to retain your job as well as get a new job. Continuous learning and continuous feedback is something that you have to get into part of your system. I'll give an example. When I was before I joined Mindtree, I was working for a company called Computer Science Corporations. Computer Science Corporation at that point in time was a $17.5 billion company. It later became, now it is now part of, it's called DXC. So when I was there for about 7 years. So we had a CEO, Brian Manning, and he was running a company which had a revenue of $17.5 billion, 95,000 employees. And I was a senior manager. I was about to become a general manager at that point in time. So which means there are some 5 or 6 different levels between me and the top person in the company, the CEO. I was part of a group, what we call as Toastmasters International, where we had a club where we try to help each other in becoming better individuals in terms of communication skills, leadership skills, etc. And as part of that particular journey, we also used to give a lot of feedback to people based on speeches that's been delivered. There's something, if you're familiar with Toastmasters, you will know what a speech evaluation is all about. So I, along with another friend of mine, we were good at it, and we were doing that, trying to promote and help people settle down, become better individuals. Somehow, my CEO came to know about this particular thing. And guess what? We were surprised when he sent us a bunch of USBs with a lot of his speeches that he had given to people outside. Some of them were internal also. And he asked us to go through these videos and give the evaluation and give him feedback. We were absolutely stunned. A CEO has no business to come to somebody who's 5 or 6 levels down, give his speech, and make us give him feedback. That was something that we never expected. And that's a very important lesson that we all learned that day. It does not matter what level you are in. As long as you're a student of life, when you want to learn something and you want to accept feedback and give constructive feedback, that is something that always is going to be important for you to get into the self-development that you always want to have. So it doesn't mean that just because you become a CEO, you've got everything, you're on top of the world. No, there are still a lot of things that everybody wants to learn. And it also is a good example of humility, which is extremely important. It's a premium item. You can't expect it from everyone. So that is something that I would give as a message to everyone. Have that humility, have that hunger for feedback, hunger for self-development, hunger for improvement, irrespective of what level and what position you are in today. And that will always be good. I'll give you another example before I talk about some of the other skills that I wanted to cover in the next 10-15 minutes. This is about being smart. I met a candidate, again, this was some 10 years ago. He was a person who always used to jump a lot of companies. We call him a jumper. Because if you look at the resume, typically we expect somebody to be in a company for 3-4 years at least, minimum, more the better. But this person had about 10 years of experience and he had about 14 companies that he had worked. Less than a year, keeps jumping. And I was making fun of him, of course, in his absence with another colleague of mine. Everybody used to have experience in the company in years, but looks like this person will have experience in terms of minutes because he's a jumper. And then we confronted the candidate, we did the interview. We seemed to have liked him because he was doing some decent work and had some good skills, decent communication. Then I asked him this question: why do you keep jumping? He said he gave a lot of reasons, but one reason that was really interesting was in the last company. I asked him, so why are you leaving your current company? You just joined them less than 2 months ago. Why are you leaving them? He said something very interesting, I'll never forget. He said, there's nothing more I could learn in this company beyond 2 months. I was shocked. So I asked him a very difficult question that I thought was a very difficult question. So does that mean that you will leave me in same 2 or 3 months? And he gave a very fantastic answer. This is a very difficult question. Please understand where I'm coming from. I put the guy on the defensive. And he came back with a fantastic reply. He said, are you telling me you have stuff worth just for 2 or 3 months? And that calls for a lot of guts and quick thinking. And that's what I call street smartness is all about. I was taken aback by that response, but you won't believe it. We ended up hiring that guy. Now, he may have sounded little offensive. Some other interviewer instead of me in my place would have taken that as an offense. In fact, my colleague also was part of that panel, felt that it was little offensive, but we also felt there is something in this person who is able to think on his feet. These are things that you cannot train. You can't teach somebody. These are things that you have to evolve. These are things that you have to find for yourself and then come back with a quick, very good, smart response. I'm not trying to say that you have to be offensive because it can be a little touchy. I'm not trying to say that you have to be offensive during an interview. You've got to be very nice and be professional and maintain all the etiquette. But what is also important, sometimes some of those smartness will not go unnoticed. It can help you get what you want. That's extremely important. And we always say in Mindtree, there are multiple things that we try to do to see how we can increase the learning quotient. We always talk about learning from unusual sources. There are, particularly during the pandemic period, now that we are all working from home virtually, there is so many series of programs that we have for people to learn. Of course, virtually some of them are through sessions like this, and we continue to have many such programs. And we try to see how many of them really participate for all the people who show interest. And that's extremely important. And that is tied to their performance evaluation and promotion and all other rewards that we're going to give. One of the things that we do is we have what we call as Women Wednesdays. So every Wednesday, a woman leader in the company, a middle level or senior level, does not matter, will come and share her experience, her journey for about an hour. All the things that she has learned, how she is able to manage family and work, all the different things, how she has reached that point where she is currently today and stuff like that. And guess what? Originally, a lot of people thought it was meant only for women. But then a lot of men realized there are a lot of good learnings out of this programs like this. And then we started encouraging men also. And then we have a much bigger participation level these days because we all try to learn from each other. Because the stories, we always say, we all have different stories, but we share the same emotions. You and I will have the same kind of anger. You and I will have the same kind of joy. But the joy and the anger, the reasons can be different. The stories can be different. But we all share the same emotions. That's extremely important. And that is the reason why it's important that we connect with people, have that people management skills and the critical problem solving skills, so that we can relate and come together, collaborate better, and find a solution for all of us. That's why we always say we don't care for skill or talent. Skills can be gained over a period of time. I can hire somebody with no skill and impart that skill in a matter of 3 months, 4 months, 3 weeks, 10 weeks, etc. But I can't teach him attitude. We always say we hire for attitude and teach skills. But if we have both, well and good. So what are the things that are important for you to be successful in a post-pandemic world and in the Industrial Revolution 4.0? First and foremost, your attitude. Your attitude determines everything. A lot of people would have told you that, I'm sure, but never get tired of hearing this because it's extremely important. What I mean by attitude, it is your approach towards life, approach towards work, approach towards job, approach towards yourself, towards learning. How do you improve? What are the things that you want to do? Take Sachin Tendulkar, for example. Right? Although he is retired, even during his playing days, after even scoring a century, or whether he had got out 0 first ball in the previous innings, next day he goes to the nets and has the same kind of practice again and again and again. That's how he tries to improve. So it does not matter. That's why I talked about the CEO example, Brian Manning, my CEO at that point in time. He may be the CEO, but because he has that attitude to learn continuously and improve, have that daily improvement, a small delta variant, a small improvement, that's going to help him become much better than what he is today, is what we call as attitude. That's one simple example of what attitude is, so that you stay grounded and have that humility and help yourself in becoming a better version of yourself. Active listening is extremely important, right? Now, I'm speaking to about 160 odd people. I have no idea how many of you are actually listening, and that too in the virtual world. I have no idea. At least if it is a face-to-face, at least I will know by looking at people, whether people are sleeping, people are yawning, people are going away, people are whatever they are doing, I can find out. But now I have no idea. I'm only hoping and trusting that people are actively listening. What is active listening? It's about paying 100% attention to what is being told. The human psychology is when I talk to you, even if it's a discussion between two individuals, when one person is talking, the other person is preparing to respond to that person, or basically rehearsing the response, not listening. That's what usually happens. When I talk to you, you're trying to give me a response. When you talk to me, I'm trying to give you a response, and which means both of us are not listening. You know what is the biggest respect we can give to another individual? It is listening to the individual actively 100%. That's extremely important. There are a lot of things that you will miss, and it can probably become little dicey, difficult, because you miss that critical part. It's also about, the reverse is also true. It's also about how I say it. There's something called stress. There's something called pronunciation. There's something called weightage or importance given to certain words. I'll give you an example. I never said she is dating him. It's a very simple sentence, just 7 words. I never said she is dating him. I can change the meaning of this sentence, change the meaning of this based on certain stress that I have on a particular word. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a couple of examples. You can write this at home. I never said she's dating him. Will give you one particular meaning. I never said she's dating him gives totally a different meaning. I never said she is dating him gives another meaning. I never said she is dating him. As you can see, I can keep going on. The word, the stress where I put makes a lot of difference. Actually, it conveys a different meaning. So it's very important when we communicate, we have to be sure what we are trying to communicate. What is the significance and where do we put the stress? It's important for the speaker as well as for the listener where the stress is coming from. That's extremely important so that you get the correct message. Like I said before, communication is all about me making sure that you get exactly what I have in my mind. There is something that is there that needs to be transmitted, and it has to have a channel to go, and then it goes, and then it is being received, and then when it is interpreted, it has to mirror what was there in the source. That's exactly what communication is all about. So there are multiple variables, multiple things at play here. So it's very important that we understand all this so that we use all this for our benefit and keep moving. What are the other skills? Complex problem solving skills. So what is a complex problem solving skill? First and foremost, what is our ability to dissect a problem? Look at different stages in a problem and try to define that particular stage. Even if it's a mountain, look at it rock by rock and see how you can conquer each rock. And then you'll be able to reach the summit. That's what complex problem solving is all about. Making a bigger problem broken into smaller ones and see how each one of those can be individually addressed. And then you keep moving on. And then some of these things can be tied together and then you move on. The other one is coordinating with others. So it is all about, we always keep talking about this. What is business? Business is all about connection between two individuals. It's not about connection between two different entities. Finally, we are dealing with people. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, whatever. It is about dealing with two different individuals in different geography, in different culture. So it's extremely important that we understand how we work with people. We have something called what we call as hot buttons, something that is close to our heart where we like and dislike. So we need to know that. So by working with people, understanding, being sensitive, we try to learn all these things. And then, sometimes you have heard people say that, hey, don't go to the manager at 9:30 in the morning. That's when he comes to the office and he is always a little moody. You go after 10:30. So that is like understanding the hot buttons of individuals and trying to see how you can maneuver and get your job done. Creativity. There are people who tend to think that only musicians and people who are in the art business are creative. Creativity can be applied in all walks of life. I'll give you a simple example. I've been in this industry for about 29 years now. And in the last 15 years, I've been in the shared services industry. Basically, shared service is nothing but bringing all the work from different enabling function group and have a unified process and take care of all the transactions so that the front-ending group can take care of all the important critical engagement related work and customer support and stuff like that. That's what we try to do. So how do we measure the performance of a shared services organization? There are multiple ways. Some companies will go for some external certifications. Some companies will go for some quality evaluations, etc. I thought it's better we go and do something that is never done before, particularly in the automation front, and then create a case study out of it and have that acknowledged by a world-class institution like Harvard. So that was what I thought, and then eventually we did that this year. So what I'm trying to say is there are multiple ways of achieving certain things. So it's a question of what makes sense to you, how creative you are in getting into that particular area. There are different ways of going to Delhi from Bangalore. So what is your creative way of going to Bangalore? And why does that particular thing make sense to you is something that you have to find for yourself. So when we started this journey, we thought it is better we are unique in our way we position ourselves, that we tell the world that we are doing something very creative, something very interesting that signifies a lot of value creation to a lot of people by having a case study written by a world-class institution like Harvard, which teaches this, uses this particular concept, what we have done in my organization, to create future managers, future MBAs. And that way, I'm also contributing something to future education, management education of the future, creating future managers. So that is how we came up with this creative idea of having a milestone for ourselves. So like that, there are multiple ways you can be creative on your own. Critical thinking is another important aspect that you got to have in the post-pandemic world and in the world that we're going to live in the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Now, if you're a nurse, you got to find out of the 4 patients who needs to be prioritized first. If you're a plumber, by looking at the materials, you got to find out which is the best material that suits that particular job. If you're a lawyer, you got to look at different evidence and then look at different devices to find out what is the best strategy to win a case, to decide whether the case has to go on between the 2 parties or whether it can be settled out of court. These are what we call as critical thinking, some examples. So judgment and decision making, a lot of people are indecisive today. They're scared. Now, how do you make good decisions? By making bad decisions. That's what people say. I mean, that's a very popular saying. How do you become a good decision maker? By making bad decisions. Why? That's when you learn. You learn from the mistake and then you make a better. Bad decision making is better than no decision making. That's something that I always feel. At least you're progressing. You're not staying in that particular place. You're at least moving, but you will learn from it and then you move on. The last 2 things that I would say is negotiation. Take it from me. Negotiation is not something that is associated only when it comes to salary at the time of joining, whether you negotiate for a 4.5 lakhs or a 8.5 lakhs or a 10.5 lakh salary. That's just one example. Negotiation is something that is applicable in all walks of life, with your friend, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, with your manager, with your professor, with your friend, with your enemy, with everyone that you deal with, every individual, everything in this world can be negotiated. It's a question of what you want and look at the middle ground between the 2 extremes, because this is my way and this is highway. So there has to be some midway that is acceptable to both the parties. And that's something that you got to find out and then see how that's going to help you win that particular game. And finally, which is a kind of combination of all the things what I just talked about, is what we call as people management. At the end of the day, both of us are people. You got to deal with people. Whether somebody is in your team, somebody is you're going to report to somebody, you're going to have people reporting into you. You have some stakeholders. You have people externally within the company, externally outside the company. You have people who is a customer. Now, all of them are eventually nothing but people, which means we are just dealing with bundle of emotions. And you got to have a way by which you manage these emotions and give them and have a meeting point between what is being looked at and what is being offered. And that's why people management skills are extremely important. In my shared services organization, I look for 4 things. You have to have a very good policy understanding, what the policy is all about. You got to have a good process knowledge. You got to have excellent systems knowledge, because everything we do is through systems. And more importantly, you got to be good in people skills. I can probably teach these 3: policy, process, systems. I can teach somebody, but people skills I can't teach. You got to learn on your own. There are certain things that are born with you. There are certain things that you learn by observing. And that is something that I always look for. So even when I have to hire somebody, I look for only this. I won't look for all the 4. If all the 4 are there, good for me. But I will look for at least people management skills. Then I can teach the rest. So my dear friends, to summarize, we're hitting the hour. So what is required from you? Please remember that 77% that I talked about: communication skills, positive attitude, continuous learning ability, willingness and ability. I'll give you an example of willingness and ability. I'm a very poor swimmer, of course, but I can swim. I won't get drowned. I've attempted swimming classes 2 times in my life. When I was in my late 30s, and then again when I was in my early 40s. I enrolled myself into a swimming class program for 15 days. I had a very good tutor, did everything, but I still did not learn. When my legs will obey what my mind is telling, my hands will not obey. When you do the hand stroke, my legs will not obey. When you do the leg stroke, my hands will not obey. They just do not coordinate well. I did the same second time after a few gap of a couple of years. still I had the same problem. That's when I realized, see, I have the willingness to learn. I want to learn. I still have that desire in me to become a good swimmer. But there is a problem with the body, with the ability. I am not able to learn. That's why they always try to tell you that you should learn a lot of things at the early age. But it doesn't mean that as you age, you can't learn. There are a lot of things that you can learn. Many, particularly some of those motor skills, the bodily skills, sometimes it becomes a little difficult. But I give this example to make people understand the difference between willingness and ability. You may be willing to learn, but what organization also looks for is your ability to learn. If I give you the platform, are you able to grab the opportunity and move up in life? That's what we look for. So those are things that are extremely important for you to have as part of your skills in the post-pandemic era, as well as in industrial revolution. You got to be open for change. Change is something that's going to happen all the time. By the time you finish learning, there's something else that would have come. And we always have to keep ourselves abreast with all the things that's happening in the world, which means you got to have an antenna, which is very clear and absorbs and finds out what is good and what are the things that are being told, things that are evolving, etc. Problem solving skills. That's what we talked about. So, my dear friend, the world is yours. Go kiss the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Let us now be introduced to our second keynote speaker of the day. Hailing from UC Berkeley, Mr. Sharant Babu comes to us today with 23 plus years of experience and an established track record in successful product development, customer support, transition management, system integration, among others. His areas of expertise include such domains as Visual C++, Java, machine learning, exposure to end-to-end CMMI, level 5 assessments, etc. Having authored around 40 blogs on leadership and emerging technologies in various mediums, he has mentored government school students for NMMS scholarship examinations and has also been invited as keynote speaker and panelist at several events over the years. We welcome you, sir. And now request Mr. Babu to deliver his keynote speech.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the IIS Jaipur for giving me this opportunity, and also the ICT Academy and my company Oracle. So thank you for that. And I also want to acknowledge the speeches from the Ashok sir, Mathur sir, and also Kumar sir. I think they're all very insightful, and that reflects the current situation what we are in today. So I'll try to summarize in the similar lines, but there may be some areas where there may be some overlap, but I'll try to see and add my perspective to these areas definitely. Okay. So without any further ado, let me start. So again, the way Kumar started, I also want to start with a small story or small incident, but it is not my personal story, but this is something which I read. Okay. So I don't know, some of you might have also read about this, but for others, I think it may be something interesting. So that in sometime in 1960s, 70s, there was an experiment conducted. It's called Marshmallow Experiment. So what it is basically is, marshmallow is nothing but a small candy, right? So they pulled some kids into a room, and in front of them, they kept these marshmallows, and what they only told them was, just take them, wait for 20 minutes before you consume them, right? So the major, right, kids generally, they'll have that interest, and they want to just consume it immediately. So they just want to see how much the kids can control themselves, right, for 20 minutes. So that experiment, what happened was, I think less than 30%, I think around 20+% of the kids were able to resist the time, but rest of them, they couldn't resist, and they just consumed the candy. So what they did was they just continued that exercise. They started observing these kids who were able to sustain and were able to resist for the 20 minutes. And And they put a caveat. If you wait for 20 minutes, we'll get an additional candy. That's another, of course, that's the reward which has been put to motivate and encourage. So once they start observing these kids in their teens, in their career and all that, they were really very successful in their careers. They were really successful in whatever the education they've pursued and all that. So what's the conclusion from this is like, we are living in the world of distractions, right? Definitely, this pandemic is one of the biggest distractions for us, right? And also, I think we can also look at it in a positive way that it's an opportunity as well. So what I'm trying to convey here is like, we are living in the world of distractions. So if we really have that self-control, right? I think you can definitely see heights. That is the first and foremost important thing. So whatever may be the case, as Kumar mentioned, right? The skills, the fundamental skills, there is not much change. But there may be some adjustments to be made considering the current pandemic situation and all that. But the core fundamental skills are still same, right? So to really demonstrate all these, to really learn, to continuously improve, what is that self-control is definitely an important thing for all of us to see that heights, right? So with that note, I just want to jump onto my presentation. The first thing I would like to talk about is, when we talk about employability skills, I just want to also, I think you are able to see my screen, right? Nice.
Sir.
Can somebody? Okay, great. So when we really talk about this one, I just thought of looking at I kind of looked at some of the statistics from the engineering and the management, how things are really. And if you really see the numbers, the enrollment, you see, we have a lot of opportunity for intake, but the thing is the enrollment percentage is something you're seeing on the screen, right? And if you really see the pass percentage, yes, out of this, around 79% is passed. Similarly, if you take year on year, average, you are looking at around 70-80% pass. But if you really look at the placements, which is an interesting attribute for us, right? So it is definitely less than 50%. So only in the year 2019-20, I can see some rise in that. But if you really look at the numbers, they're definitely collectively they're less than 50%. And this is, I'm talking only about engineering. But if you really add the other sciences and so many other programs, and the percentage is definitely less than 30. So that is what is the current situation based on the numbers. So what it is telling is, so the first thing is, there is an intake capacity, but again, no, the enrollment is some percentage. Okay, the pass percentage is significant, but the thing is, the placement, coming to the placement, I think it is coming down. But still, no, one thing is clear that year on year, the demand for the job opportunities are increasing. But the thing is, like, we are not able to place, right? We are not able to get or grab that opportunity. So what is going wrong and all that is what probably we'll try to touch upon. But I just want to set the context with some facts here, so that you understand, like, what is it we all probably need to think about, and what is it we all need to probably do. And then I think we can probably look at what skills are important for us to really grab that or achieve that goal, right? I think let's go in that flow. So once we know the stats, so we understand the facts that we have something to be done more, and what is that we need to do. But before jumping onto that, let me just drive you through the current situation. I know, like, our speakers have already touched on, we are living in the world, lot of confusion, lot of crises, especially, in the initial stages of pandemic. It was really very difficult, right? Because, for example, I can tell you my case. So I never had an experience of working as entire my team working from home. So though we kept it in our business continuity that if something happens, we have to work from home, but we never implemented to the core. But in the real world, the problems will not come like that, right? So they're not planned. The problems just like that comes. So we have given a time of 1 week, and we're all asked to, what do you call, make our team work from home, which involves infrastructure, which involves so many things, right? So many operational logistics and all that. But within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so we had some initial teething problems, but after a month or so, we all got stabilized. And definitely, you know, the productivity has also increased, because earlier people used to spend almost morning another a couple of hours, evening a couple of hours. Some people used to even spare 3 hours for commute. So they're able to save around 5 to 6 hours of commute time, and the productivity has increased. There is a flexibility. So there are so many things which has really come out as a blessing in the disguise. But what I'm trying to tell is, like, these crises will come, right? Today, pandemic, tomorrow, something else, because we have seen some smaller ones as well earlier, and we all emerged as victorious from all those scenarios. So here also we did respond, right? Our response was really good. As an organization, we responded. Similarly, if you look at our country, as a nation, we responded, right? See, for a country of 130 plus crore population, touching that 100 crore vaccination is not a simple thing. And that too, less than a year, we were able to achieve it. It's like, so the thing is, what I'm trying to say here is, definitely the crisis will test our abilities, which would have not otherwise tested, right? Or validated. And similarly, if you really look at the organizations were looking this as an opportunity, because now they know that everything is digital. We can do a lot of things remote. We can do a lot of things online. So there is a lot of forums, a lot of platforms, and the digital has become a new normal, right? So today, your street vegetable vendor also can take payment from a Paytm or a GP or whatever. So that is our response. So the thing is, we were able to adjust and align to that without any issue. Similarly, if you really see to be continued means this is going to continue, because now the thing is, now this created a bigger opportunity, because now with all this, every business, every enterprise looking at going into digital, and everybody got used to align with the digital. Now we need to have our solutions, we need to have our products, we need to have our services. Everything has to be aligned. That means there is more work. So the thing is, now we are in a situation that we are really looking at talent, and it is really becoming difficult for us as an industry for hiring people, because the demand is huge, because we need to, companies have a lot of budgets to develop new products and all that, but we are really finding it difficult to hire people with the skill sets. With even some people may be technical, but the thing is they don't have the soft skills, and even some people joining, but they're not able to sustain this whatever the momentum. So there are so many challenges which we are all facing now. So I think we'll try to see if we really want to be part of that journey, that excitement journey, what I'm talking about. So what is that you guys can do? How is that you can prepare yourself is what we'll try to look at. So I look at VUCA. VUCA is, people talk as volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, right? So I suggest you guys look at it as in a more positive way. Volatility, to try to derive or predict something. We are in the world of artificial intelligence, right? At least incremental. Don't worry too much about bigger things which beyond our control, but at least look at incrementally what is that we can do, right? So if you really look at a problem, I think it will be like a bigger problem. But the thing is, if you still start addressing slowly, step by step, I think you can definitely get more and more confidence, right? And similarly, uncertainty. Uncertainty will be there. But the thing is, again, try to, understand the ground. Focus on the fundamentals. I think you will be able to get there. Just take step by step. Understand core. Don't leave the roots. Don't leave the fundamentals. I think most of the times we'll always talk at 10,000 feet high or 1,000 feet high, whatever. But I think if you really sit with the fundamentals, you understand what exactly is required, I think we'll be able to achieve that. And complexity, again, I think it also boils down to the same thing. I think we need to divide and conquer. So break it into individual smaller problems. That is the way I think we'll be able to look at ambiguity. Ambiguity is, you look at it as agile. Again, how you can probably achieve that speed by taking things in a piece by piece mode, right? I think look at it that way, then I think we all can probably do wonders, right? So I think this is a quick SWOT analysis, which I know you all know, but I'll just revise once again, right? I think we all know that our strength is our engineering or science or on any other graduates, so education, young youth population is our strength and opportunity also. And definitely research education. If you really, I was also looking at some of the stats from UGC on the number of PhDs getting awarded. It is definitely less compared to the other nations, like at least like China, US, and other countries, right? So I think this is definitely an area where, no, because if you really get to that research mindset, I think we can create wonders here, right? And because that is what is the value addition we can do, because we always good at solving problems, but we are not taking it to a broader level, right? So if you really look at anything as like for example, I think I was reading this in one of the books where, no, I think we used to what do you call, export beryllium ore. Beryllium ore is very precious, and we used to export it to Japan, and Japan used to make some rods or some metals with that, and they used to export to US, and US used to make the diaphragms and all that, and they used to be that used to be exported to other countries. So what we are trying to do, we are not adding value right here. If we would have made those diaphragms in India, I think that will make us more and more rich, more and more this one, it can create more and more wealth, and it's all good for us, right? I think that is where we are probably need to focus, and employability skill is definitely the topic of our conversation today. So I think I'll deal with that in detail, but I think I just want to give you a glimpse of what is that we are looking at, and how is that we are going to address that, right? So with that, no, let me just how to approach. I'll come to these things a little late, but I just want to cover this in a matrix mode, right? So everybody has a responsibility here, and especially, you know, the government, the policymakers, industry, we represent the industry, academia, you represent the academia, right? And if you really look at all these dimensions, right? And if you really break down into the education part, the infrastructure part, and the social and behavioral part, and today there is no dearth of opportunities. That's what I was telling you, right? And the thing is, so far, the education was more limited, constrained to the urban cities and towns and all that. But now I think we need to democratize. Now we have so much of opportunity. We also need to enable the people in the rural environments. We need to make sure that they're equipped with a lot of good infrastructure, laboratories, faculties, and all that. Then only I think we will be able to grab this great opportunity with both the hands, right? So some of these things, anyhow, I think I don't need to probably explain in everything in every detail. You can understand that. But I just definitely the designing, the people are already reviewing courses, course curriculums. We are seeing a lot of different courses today, right? And even I was surprised to see the combination of mathematics with some arts. So and those kind of things are really required, because we always are born and brought up in a cookie cutter kind of thinking, where no, we have a science stream, we have an art stream, we have a specific stream, and we always got siloed in those streams, right? But today, I think people look at the diversity, because I think diversity is definitely definitely a very good ingredient for innovation, right? And even I think the thought process, no, if you really look at the thought process, people talk about mastering in one area. So if you really spend 10,000 hours in a specific area, people say that you will be mastering on that. But the other story today, what people are saying is, there are even books which can demonstrate this is range. Try to diversify yourself, learn more about it, such that you may get a different idea from your other learning, which you can probably implement in your current core area, right? So the thing is, otherwise, no, we'll be very much constrained to the readings, the experience of the previous people, and all that. But the thing is, if you really jump and get some exposure on the other areas, then I think we'll be able to learn. So definitely our new education policy, I'm hopeful that it's going to help us, especially putting that seed at the school level and all. And definitely infrastructure is important. Simulated environments or labs. This is definitely one of the area where we talk about, especially in the pandemic era, when we are not ready to go to colleges and all that. I think we can use all these virtual reality technologies and all that. We can create simulated environments such that sitting at the comfort of your home, you can definitely get the real feeling of touching and doing things practically, right? And definitely from an industry standpoint, more collaboration in terms of workshops, apprenticeships, internships, that is definitely an important thing. And seminars, and even I think nowadays it has increased. The colleges are inviting industry folks to join their advisory boards, such that they can refine and prune the syllabus on a continuous basis. They can align with the industry accordingly. All that, and probably in future, I think it's going to be a way where probably we may need to work with, because the way Kumar was telling, the industrial revolution 4.0, where slowly the difference between humans and machines fade away, right? So today, if you really get onto a bank website, you'll be greeted by a chatbot, but you never feel that it is a chatbot, right? It will be as warm as a human being talking other side, right? I think that is going to go more and more and expand more and more into our lives. So I think this is definitely some of a quick matrix to get you understand that what each of us need to do, right, in our individual roles to definitely get ourselves aligned. And definitely the alumnus involvement is definitely an important thing which I want to highlight. I know some of these premium institutes like IITs and these folks do a lot. The alumnus go back and they contribute and all that, right? So I think we need to encourage more on that, because definitely every institute have people who may be doing very well. I think we need to definitely have some forums where we need to connect them. We need to get and leverage their experience and expertise. That can definitely make these things more and more aligned, right? So I think I just want to, this is more from what each of the stakeholders can do to probably prepare the students from the employability standpoint. These are all the various avenues and opportunities where each of us can work. And coming to the student, right? I know some of these things Kumar has touched, but I just want to give a glimpse of it again. I know like you all agree with me on some of these things, like academic score is definitely important, because that is the first filter which can be used to filter out, right? So definitely try to gain as much as you can. And analytic and problem solving skills are a must, because the thing is, people don't look at how much score you had in your academics and all that, but whether you have that ability to solve the problem. This is really an important thing, right? Because I can tell one story again, or this one which can talk about the problem solving skills. So there was an interview going on, and the interviewer asked a person, like that was one of the tall building in that city, for example. Okay, so he asked in general, like, okay, what is the height of this building? So suppose some people may be more curious. They may expect that, okay, probably people may ask these kind of questions, so they may probably be prepared for that. That is fine. But you know what? Some person went in there, he was not prepared, and he don't know what the height of that building. So he kind of, sir, give me just a couple of minutes. I'll tell you, but I need to go out. So he just goes out, and he kind of measures the shadow of the building. He kind of measures himself, his shadow. He'll try to say, take a mathematics, apply mathematics there. He'll try to arrive at the actual versus the shadow of him and try to get the value of the building, right? So I think what is that telling is, like, basically, you need to have that mindset to think and solve the problem, right? That is really an important thing. That can always be possible if you really face the problems in your life. You don't need to do anything special, but don't shy away from the problems in your life. Be it help in your family, with your friends, with your person, because we always tend to avoid problems, but try to solve the problems. That will make you more and more strong, right? And the third thing is the core concepts is definitely an important thing, which you all agree. If possible, if in your respective stream, if there are some industry certifications, try to explore that. Internships will be very helpful because in the early stages of your career, you'll get an opportunity to understand how an industry works, how the corporate works, and then you'll be able to prepare yourself or tune yourself accordingly. And the body language, I think in a way, Kumar was mentioning about how we need to present ourselves, how we need to listen and all that. But I'm going to tell you, in this digital world, the digital body language is going to play a vital role. You know what? Because physically we can observe, because I know, like, again, I also don't have the visibility of on how many people are really attentively listening to it and all. I don't know, because in this world that is a problem. But the way that I can observe, suppose if there are certain people I need to follow, I need to understand, I can immediately go on to LinkedIn, or I can go on to some other social media. I can see what is this person, what's his skills, what's his academics, what is his activities, because based on the kind of posts he likes, or based on the kinds of posts he keeps, I can visualize, okay, these are his interests, this is the way he thinks, right? And also if he's really good in publishing some blog posts or writing some articles, I think by reading those also I'll be able to make out something. So today the digital body language is an important thing through which we can easily present ourselves very well. I know, like, it may not match to the physical presence, but at least we can do our best in doing that, right? Our best in terms of projecting our abilities to the best of our skills and knowledge and all that. Coming to the last thing is, definitely in this digital world, the networking and referrals is going to make a lot of difference. And I know when you are really doing good on the social media and all these platforms, I think that should not be a problem. That will be a cakewalk, right? I think this is from a student standpoint. So we discussed about to improve or enhance the employability skills, what the policymakers, industry and academia has to do. And secondly, the student, what are the base minimum things the student has to do is, these are the things. Now comes the next important thing is, like, we'll try to drill a little more down onto this, what else the student need to do, especially when you really come down to the soft skills part. So if you really think this way, when you really join a company, right, what happens, or an organization, you are totally dependent, right? You don't know the policies, you don't know the processes, and you will be probably supported or guided by somebody. But what are the kind of characteristics you need to demonstrate here? Means you need to be curious. So first and foremost thing is, and you need to be proactive. So the thing is, you need to observe the things, you need to probably understand, ask questions, try to see what everybody else is doing, try to visualize the big picture. This is what is an important thing, right? If you are not curious, then I think your growth will be stopped or stagnated there, right? And I was reading, when I was reading the biography of C.V. Raman, I was really amazed by the kind of curiosity he had. So when he really comes back from the school, he used to go, at that time, the libraries used to be very far. So I think he probably may be using a bicycle or walking or whatever. He used to go to a far early located library, and he used to read more about the topic, whatever has been taught in the school, such that for the next day, he used to be more and more, he used to be like, okay, what comes next in the current thing, whatever teacher told, he used to add more. And that is what, so when you are there, actually what matters is like your curiosity. If you really try to learn more about the project or the product you are associated with, that's going to add a lot of value. And we always have the habit of probably starting multiple things, and we generally don't organize ourselves in taking things to conclusion. So, but one other attribute I encourage you to do is take things to logical conclusion. That is an important thing. And also, you may be tasked to do multiple things. So you should not get confused, and you should not be like, sometimes what happens is we often tend to work on something which is interesting to us. But it should not be the interest of us. It should be the interest of the organization, right? So that way you need to prioritize what is important for the organization, what is important for the project. Then you need to prioritize. I think if you really master these three things, I think you will slowly transition from dependent state to your independent state, right? So the independent state, once you really become more and more confident, now your boss has understood that, okay, this guy is reliable, he is trustworthy, I can trust him, if I give a task, he will do it. So I think he will be able to gain that confidence about you, right? So now you become a little independent. Now you are self-sufficient. You have some, you can deliver things, you can do things. So now what matters is like, from here, you need to think a little beyond, right? Because always organization is not just about one person, right? But yes, you need to self-mastery is an important thing. Then only without doing the self-mastery, you will not probably be looking at a bigger picture, and team thinking, people thinking, and all that will not be possible. So that is where, when you become independent, the next thing you need to look at is how you can become more and more, right? When you become independent, what are the things you need to think about? So you need to think about always listening, right? That is one attribute which Kumar was mentioning, right? So I think typically we always have the attitude of either my way or highway, the way Kumar mentioned, right? But I think what we need to look at is, we also need to listen to the others. And we need to have that heart to appreciate and acknowledge if the other's idea is better than ours. And also always think about if there is a way we can probably collaborate on the ideas and think in a way that what is good for the organization. Is it going to save some cost? Is it going to save some time? So I think, why can't we probably think win-win, probably put the ideas together, derive something which is meaningful to the organization, right? That is an important thing we all need to think about. And empathy is very, 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 very important, right? Because we always are self-conscious. But the thing is, I know some people may be having that ability and skill to listen to others and all that, but I think this is definitely an important thing, right? I was reading this Satya's recent book, Hit Refresh. So he quotes one incident where that's his interview experience. I think if some of you might have read that. So he has completed all his rounds. This is a Microsoft interview only. He completed all his rounds, and finally he comes to one round where he was asked with a question like, "Hey, Satya, you've seen a baby on the street. She's crying, she or he, whoever, crying. What is your immediate response, right? What is the first thing you do?" So he immediately says that, "I'll call 911. That is typically calling police." So then this guy comes out and he tells, "Okay, Satya, that's fine. But there is a time lag for the police to come and take care of that person, that kid, that baby. But I think the first thing you should do is you should go and take that baby in your hands, try to see if you can console, and then you can probably think about calling a whatever, right?" So the thing is, that empathy, right? Today we have so many people surrounding us who have so many problems, but there are no people to listen. That is the reason we are seeing so many counseling centers nowadays who say that their mantra is only come and tell your problems, talk your problems. We are there to listen to you. We are there to acknowledge. We are there to support you, right? That support system is important. So if you really want to transform yourself from an individual to a leader, I think what you need to develop is that empathy. If you can develop that empathy, I think you can become a true leader, right? That is definitely an important skill you need to develop. So this is all. So all these skills will make you a good team player, right? So you can become, and people will trust you. So initially you got the trust from your manager. But here in this phase, you need to think about how you can win the trust of your team members, right? That is the way you'll become because if tomorrow, if your manager decides to make you as a leader, I think there should not be any issues with any of the other colleagues, because they all should trust you. They all should feel comfortable with you. They all should feel, hey, this guy is really good. He listens to us. He supports us. He's there for us. We are in trouble. He's there. So if you can create that kind of environment, I think you are there. You are the one who will be chosen for that leader, and everybody will support you, right? I think that is the way it looks. Now comes what? Now, when you become a leader, then the next step is broader, right? So you may want to become a bigger leader in the organization. So you may want to lead multiple teams. So then what is that required? So you need to be interdependent. So the thing is, you need to collaborate with other teams. You need to bring synergies. Some teams may be good in some teams may be good in others. Again, know how you can, it is same as, but scaling to one more level, right? So that bringing that synergies and collaboration is definitely one thing. And here, like when you say probably here, you may be a CEO or a CTO or a vice president or whatever level you are in, that working with multiple groups, multiple teams across the globe, across technologies, across divisions, whatever, right? Whatever the scope, but if you master that art of collaborating across teams, I think that is going to fetch you a lot. And what is important to sustain in that stage is continuous development. And you need to keep learning. And we always look at learning as something, okay, let's complete a certification. I think I learned something. Please don't look at learning as completing a course or completing a certification. So learning is a journey, right? Either it has to resolve a problem. Suppose if you learn something, it should help you in resolving a problem. If you're not resolving a problem, you try to research what else I can learn to probably resolve some worldly problems. So I think it is anything you take, be it management, technology, science, whatever, there is no end, it's all journey. So you need to continually invest. Because I was surprised yesterday, I was talking to one of my friends. He told that, hey, people are completing a lot of courses in LinkedIn and so many other platforms, but sometimes no, there are so many, right? Today we have Udemy, we have Unacademy, so many things are there. But the thing is, sometimes no, some of these online courses, no, you can just skip through the browse through that and you can complete it and you can get a small certificate and all that. But the thing is, really, we don't know whether the person has really understood the intent of it, depth of it is something which is a question mark, right? So I think try to get onto these things. So these are the core skills which will not change irrespective of whether you are working in this virtual world, in this pandemic world, or in the real world, whatever, right? I think these are the core fundamental things which are definitely important for you. And one other thing I would like to tell is, in the virtual world, what is that which are additionally you need to worry about is, you need to definitely make sure that the distractions are something which are very, very important. You should avoid distractions, because when you are online, when you may be disturbed by so many things, your social media and so many other things, but your focus and concentration is really an important thing. Surviving these distractions is definitely an important skill you need to master, right? And the other important thing in this thing is presenting yourself is another which I already mentioned. And leverage. Now you have access to so many online learning materials from all premium institutes. Sky is the limit here. Today you can go to any domain, any industry, anything. You have so much of abundant information is available. But you need to have the patience. You need to have the focus on where to focus your energies and what is that. So that if you can really align on that, then I think you'll be able to achieve wonders in that. Okay. So I think we have another 5 minutes. So I'll try to come to some logical this one. Before jumping on, again, I discussed on some of these quick nuts, which I thought I could discuss, but now considering the time and all that, we already covered the learning part, which is the resolve or research. The growth mindset is definitely an important thing, because it is as simple as looking at your cup as half filled or half empty, right? We always have that mindset of looking at what we don't have, right? But I think we should look at what we have, and we need to look at what is that we can add more to fill the cup, right? And that is, so this learning is going to add to make your cup full, right? I think you definitely need to think about how you can continuously practice or have this growth mindset in your consciousness. And as I mentioned, generalist versus specialist. So I think this is a debatable topic here, but I think definitely you try to get a flavor of other domains as well. But yes, don't carried away and don't run away from your focus area. If you're a science, try to focus on your fundamental subject topics and all that. but also look around for other areas, try to see what's going on, at least at a high level, at least at a broader level, so that no, you try to see if there are some best practices which can be probably applied. That is the way I think you can drive innovation, you can drive creativity, you can create more patterns. So all that can be possible only through this way of thinking, right? So these are some of my thoughts on the employability skills. So I just want to conclude with a couple of inspirations, personal inspirations, which I really take. I think this is something most recent, right? I was really inspired by this guy. This is something like a consistent incremental. So he was struggling for the last 20 plus years to build a school, and he's just a fruit vendor. So if he can do, I think we all can do wonders, right? And the other important story which always inspires me is this Wilma Rudolph story. I think some of you might have heard about it. So this lady born with the polio, and doctors told that she never walk, right? But she has a dream of becoming an athlete, and she wants to win a gold medal in Olympics. And you know what? She did achieve that. And it's not easy because doctors told that forget about Olympics and athletics. You cannot even walk without braces. That's the kind of situation she was in. But she undergone a therapy for about 6 to 7 years, which was very painful. And then she was able to get rid of her braces. She started playing games. Then she got selected in the country level, and she got selected to the US Olympic team. She participated in the first Olympics. She didn't win a medal. She came back, she practiced again. Next time she went, she won 3 gold medals. This story always inspires me. So when she can do, I think we all can do. So whether it is virtual world or whether it is within the pandemic or outside the pandemic, whatever it is, the core fundamental skills will not change. But as I mentioned, we need to adjust ourselves. We need to be technically aware of the working in this pandemic world, right? Align with the technology, align with the virtual world. Because as Kumar mentioned, Industry 4.0 is not about just IT. It cuts across the domains, especially the manufacturing, right? So you will be seeing about sensors, robots, whatnot. I think over a period of time, I think a manufacturing activity can be completely automated. But you may wonder what happens to the human beings. No, don't worry. We have seen in the history, right? Automation has started long time ago, but that created more and more jobs. Only thing is we are getting rid of some of the mundane tasks to the machines, but the human creativity is infinite. So we have so many things to do, so much to do. We have so many bigger problems like global warming, so many other things which we need to worry about, right? I think that those are the areas where our human intellect will add more and more value, right? So the last thing which I want to talk about before I close is the only way we can live is if we grow. But what is that we need to do to grow is definitely we need to change. And we are doing it, we are changing. And change is definitely not a constant as people say. I believe change is something which is accelerating. And how we can change is definitely we need to keep our learning thing on a continuous path, right? And how we can learn means don't put any limitations. Don't stick to the cookie cutter model. Open yourself. In world, there are so many exciting things to learn, and each can probably throw something at you to think about, right? With that, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and over to you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. It is now time to move to the panel discussion of the day. However, before we do so, may I request all our attendees to turn on their cameras so that we can commemorate this occasion with a few group photographs. May I request everyone to turn on their cameras, please? A few more, if I could request a few more of you to please turn on your cameras, that would be brilliant. Just a little time, please. I thank you for your patience. All right, thank you all. We are pleased to host today 4 eminent panelists hailing from various backgrounds for our panel discussion. I take this opportunity to introduce them to you now. As head HR NTPC, Ms. Vandana Chaturvedi comes to us with several accolades and a wide variety of experiences under her belt. She is a human resource professional with over 25 years experience in human resource, R&R, land acquisition, corporate social responsibility, and much more. A certified Harvard Managed Mentor from HBS, Mr. Chaturvedi is an assessor for the CII HR Excellence Awards, NTPC Excellence Model, MBTI, psychometric tools, etc. She has received several awards and accolades within the company and has also received external honors. We welcome you, ma'am. Our next panelist is Anubha Srivastava, ma'am. My apologies. An experienced professional with a demonstrated history of working in branding, marketing, recruitment, and higher education industry, Ms. Anubha Chaturvedi is Director, Client Relations, Databrass Inc. Her strengths lie in strong team management and end-to-end marketing planning, including print and digital. Strong content management skills, along with experience in technology need analysis, curriculum development, staff development, and educational leadership round off her abilities. We welcome you, ma'am. Our third panelist of the day is Mr. Pramod K. Tripathi, with over 22 years of experience in all gamut of HR, IR, and legal domains in diverse industries. Mr. Tripathi is DGM HR Bajaj Energy Limited. His areas of expertise lie in workforce planning, budgeting, staffing, cost management, and driving efficiencies on site. He has also been involved in such broad areas as implementation of performance management processes, training and development, employee engagement and benefits, employee relations and compliance, as well as site administration and coordination and liaison with government and statutory bodies. We welcome you, sir. Our fourth panelist of the day is Mr. Kamlesh Kumar Singh. He is the state head ICT Academy, and he joins us today with over a decade's experience in the domains of sales and marketing. He has worked with various IT and education organizations and has also worked with the government and corporate initiatives in ICT academies responsible for spearheading the government and corporate relationships and CSR projects. We are pleased to welcome all our panelists here today. I would also like to introduce at this point Dr. Poonam Madan, Head Department of Advertising and Brand Management, IIS Team to be University, who is going to be our moderator for the panel discussion today. An educationist by academics, an entrepreneur and a businesswoman by choice, and a social influencer by passion, she has an experience of over 20 years in the fields of management education. She has written about 50 research papers for academic journals and has authored a book on business communication, as well as presented several papers in various seminars and national and international conferences. Before I hand over to Dr. Madan, I would like to request all participants to please keep themselves on mute during the discussion and to post their observations and questions on the Q&A chat section. May I now request Dr. Poonam Madan to take the virtual floor and moderate the panel discussion.
Okay. Namaskar. Am I audible now? Yeah. I'm Dr. Poonam Madan, and I once again extend a very warm welcome to all extreme panelists to this panel discussion today on employability skills for industry readiness in the post-pandemic world. I'm so delighted to have all of you here who are leading their respective organizations to have this discussion today with us. So let me jump right into the discussion with a quick preamble. Over the last few years, we have seen massive disruptions in the job market around the world, which are accelerating demand versus supply mismatch. The gap is now widening. There's a huge gap in the skills which industry expects and the skills the students possess. Graduating students possess. Variety of factors are contributing to these disruptions like digitization, globalization. What COVID pandemic has done to this is that it has accelerated this phenomena more. Employment landscape is witnessing a paradigm change. I'm not overstating if I'm saying that employability skills are the most important skills in present times. So I would like to open the discussion with one question to all the panelists, that according to you, what are the most important employability skills that you are looking at while recruiting the graduating students from the higher educational institutions? So first of all, I would like Pramodji to discuss what he thinks about this. Yeah. Okay. Kamleshi.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, Kamleshi.
Well, thanks for giving this opportunity, inviting me in the panel discussion, ma'am. So, as per my experience with the industry, COVID had changed lots of things. Even being as a sales guy, I did not even thought that these things will be happen. So, as a sales point of, there are lots of new skill sets came in pictures after this pandemic. So, being as a sales, we all should understand there is lots of IT skills are required for sales people also. So like earlier, being as a sales guy, we thought, this is a basic, some special skill sets which are required, like handling IT tools and all, like advanced Excel and Zoom, Microsoft Team came in this picture. So being as a sales guy, this is the basic. Now it's become fundamentals for all. Any employee, being as a fresher, if you are going in the industry, there is some mindset in between the technical and non-technical students that we are going in sales profile or some other profile. It's not needed for me. So we cannot say like that. So now this is the basic requirement, and this pandemic created lots of new opportunity. So even I can say कि जो हम 9 सालों में नहीं कर सकते थे, वो हमने 9-10 पिछले 9-10 महीने में ही स्किल हमने सीख लिया. So we need the skill like that, like new skills came in picture. Data analytics, being as a technical, non-technicals, it's a very booming industry. So being as a fresher, you should all work on that. As earlier, or eminent speaker, they have given lots of exposure ki where the job opportunity and what the basic skill sets are required. And other one thing like data analytics, now things are moving automated model. So automation came in picture. So being as a fresher or being as an experience, we all should ready to adopt new skill set. So now new concept came relearning. So we cannot stand ki nahi humne padhai puri kar li, now whatever I have studied, so I will go in that vertical only. So always we have to ready new challenges and new skill set as per the industry demand, man. So I'm saying, being as a fresher, you all should be ready for relearning. So it may be, I'm saying that it's fundamental to all. We should understand all the IT tools which are came in the pictures, how we can handle, how we can generate a report and all. Even non-technical students, ma'am, I feel in industry, even technical students, they are not okay with the Excel. But when they came in the industry, it's a basic requirement. Then they realize that, oh, मैं तो engineer था, even मैं ये काम नहीं करता. I'm a coder, but I'm a software developer, like that. But they came in the industry, it's needed. So I am requesting to all the students, you should ready to adopt new challenges anytime, anywhere. And one thing, we all should ready, even this will give opportunity to things, new things in the industry. So like automation, blockchain, IoT, this came in the picture. So at least we should have some basic idea. So these are the basic fundamental skills are required after this pandemic, ma'am. So one thing, we all should digitally, we should be very strong. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, you have rightly articulated that the most important skill these students, these graduating students need to be, adopted by industry is that they have to have adaptability as one most important things, and they have to continuously learn and excel in whatever they are doing, and that's how they can just manage the times which are so unprecedented. Because the time is such that we cannot expect the students to have the skills and they say, okay, this is what we need, but they need to continuously learn and evolve, and the change is the only thing which is dynamic. So the times are such that they have to continuously evolve. Yeah, thank you. I would request all my panelists to switch on their cameras. Thank you. My next question would be to Anubhaji. Anubhaji is with Data Brass, and she's handling clients relation. So, ma'am, there are hard skills and there are soft skills. There are life skills, there are employability skills. So, we have now robotics, we have AI, digitization is there. So, definitely students have to have the technological aspects and technological skills. But what is the role of behavioral skills? What is the role of soft skills for these students who would like to be observed by the industry?
Thank you. My observation to this is that certainly hard skills are needed, right? But when you are working, you are actually working with the human beings. And when it comes to human beings, we need to understand that we all are the bundle of emotions, right? So be in your personal life or in your professional life, you need to always be considerate about the feelings of others as well. So when we talk about IQ, on the same time, the important thing is that we need to teach our students about EQ as well. EQ is what? It's emotional quotient, right? So you need to know how to manage your own emotions, and on the same time, you should be considerate about the emotions of others as well, right? In order to get your work done, you need to have two kind of skills. First is the technical skills, right? You know that how the work will proceed, but on the same time, when you are supposed to get your work done through people, you should understand that what are the skills which are needed in order to make others work like fully for you, right? So these skills are certainly important.
Definitely in present times, when we talk about, it's not just IQ, it's EQ that matters the most.
Right.
And the ability to empathize with others is one very important component of emotional intelligence. We have now Vandana Chaturvedi ma'am also, who has joined us. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome once again. So I would like to put the spotlight on you, ma'am, and I would like to ask, what are the key important or the most important skills that you think graduating students should possess to be observed by the industry?
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here today. It's always, a delight to be interacting with all the young, bright minds. So I suppose the most important thing every time, all the time, whether it is today, tomorrow, or in any future readiness, one is very important is about understanding yourself. So it's very important to be self-aware about who you are. What are your likes? What are your dislikes? As a person, we continue to grow on as we, experience different facets of life. So it's very important to know what you cherish more, what you value most, what are the beliefs which are closer to your heart. So some things which you cannot probably compromise, and some things which make you happy. So I would say very important to understand yourself. And then, of course, these are the changing times, and a lot of emotional issues are there as far as the past 1.5 years we have seen in COVID management. So the industries and the companies are looking at, people, employees who are resilient, who are adaptable, and who can, work with the times. So whatever challenges are there, it's very important to rise up to the challenge. if there is a skill requirement, you immediately develop that skill. So I'll give you an example. In COVID times, although I'm from a power industry, so we were always available 24/7. We could not stop for a second. In fact, we had to rise to this occasion, and we were asked to develop certain, skills where everything was online. So everybody, whether they were comfortable working with these technology or not, people were not given, employees were not given time to come up to this. So whatever inputs they needed, we provided that, but we expected from all 100% of our employees to be comfortable with the digital technology. So this is, I would say, is the most key skill these days. Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am. You have rightly put it in the right perspective that one very important skill is resilience. Be as resilient as bamboo. So that's wonderful. And definitely it's an era of digitization. How can we forget that if students do not possess digital skills, or if they are not upgrading their skills in the technological aspects, they are not going to survive. As much as 82% of the skills which are required needs some kind of technological aspects. Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you, ma'am. Now we have Pramod K. Tripathi ji also who have joined. So Pramod ji, my next question would be to you. So we know that there's a accelerated pace of digitization and digitalization. Technology is all pervasive. Technology is changing at a drop of a hat. So how important such skills, or what skills you expect in that arena? Pramod ji ne hai. Anyone else who would like to talk about? Maybe Kamlesh ji or Anubha ji? Kamlesh ji, you have to switch on your mic.
I think Anubha ma'am is right to give the answer for this question, ma'am.
Okay, Anubha ji, we would request you to please go ahead, Anubha ji. I could see Pramod ji. He has joined, Pramod ji.
He is there, ma'am. I think he's there.
Yeah, Kamlesh ji, you can take over. Yeah.
Yeah, but can you repeat your question, ma'am? So
what kind of technological skills or digital skills you are expecting from the students these days?
See, after pandemic, we have learned lots of new opportunity came in picture. So there is new skill set. If you ask me as a sales point of view, being as a girl, because our university is a girls university. So I will suggest to all the students, they should go for the digital marketing, affiliate marketing, and new data analytics came in picture. That's I told you in last conversation. So it's high in demand in the industry. Even they will get after the certificate.
You're not audible, Kamlesh ji.
Said they should. There are lots of free platform is available. I'm audible, ma'am.
Yeah, now you are.
There is lots of free platform is available, like HP Live. They have initiated some self-learning platform, so they can, even the best part that it's available on their local language also. It's available in Hindi, English, both. So if students, you are listening to me, please note down, go through and Google it, HP Live. In that you will get lots of certification program. Even after 10 years of experience, I am doing lots of certification from there, and I'm learning new things. So because after pandemic, nothing, the working style of the industry has been totally changed. Even earlier people saying, oh, I need to go office. Now companies told that no need to go office. I will give all the supporting tools like laptop, Wi-Fi, dongle, everything. You put you sit your home and do your work. So now total scenario has been changed. But for that, we all should have that kinds of the skill set, like analytics, digital marketing and affiliate marketing, like that. Even you set the process, you will not work, the process will work for you. So you can earn lots of money. There is lots of freelancing program is there after this certificate, affiliate marketing, digital marketing. So like that. So being as a student, you all should explore this opportunity. You should note down what is the digital marketing, how it will work. and what is the affiliate marketing, what is the difference between affiliate and digital marketing, IoT, then blockchain. If there are some students, they are not very good in technical, they should go for but they are good in logical reasoning and all, they should go for analytics. They are good in mathematics, they should go for data analytics, like that, big data, and lots of other things. Even UiPath, RPA came in picture, robotic process automation. So where the manual involvement will be again and again, that the RPA replace all those manual involvement. So being as a students, we also go explore this opportunity, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, beautifully said, Kamleshji. Now, Pramodji, are you there? Pramodji?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Pramodji.
Yes.
Welcome, sir. So, Pramodji, there's this one thing that we want to know, that we are from the academics, and students, most of the students which excel in academics are academically inclined students. So, and what industry is expecting is little different. They are looking for students who have adaptability as a skill, students who can just have this ability to perform under stress, or students who are able to do the multitasking. So what do you think with the gap, and how can we just narrow it? Pramodji, are you there?
I think Vandana ma'am is the right person.
Okay, Vandana ma'am, my question would be to you.
Yeah, sure. I would say that when I talked about resilience, and that is true in every facet of life these days, and it is more true in the industry. So it's not just about whether you are doing the task that is available with you, but also about handling the challenges, handling the stress, handling the work-life balance, because your family also needs all that attention and focus. So these are very, I would say, stressful times if you consider that as a stress, but very times where you can, develop those emotional skills in yourself. I was, personally, I was reading a book. I would recommend all of you go through it if you can get your hands on it. It's Bliss Brain. It teaches a lot of meditation skills, and it's not just about when we talk about meditation. It's of course an integral part of Indian philosophy and way of life. But it's only now that Western world is discovering that for developing resilience, it's very important. So make these things as part of your daily routine. I would recommend that yoga and meditation, these are very important, and this is how I survive the challenges of my own work life. One is, of course, you be aware of your emotional self. As I said, self-discovery, self-awareness is very important. There are enough psychological tools available in the market which can help you do that. These are available online also. There are behaviorists who can help you understand your scores. So I would suggest strongly that you do that. And whether it is FIRO-B or if it is MBTI or any tool that you pick up. So it's very important you learn about, and for start taking this at certain intervals, and especially when you're facing challenges. So these, of course, help you in taking control of your life. So don't be far away from the focus and the loci of your self-control. But then also do understand that there are certain things which are in your control and certain things which are not. So there's a very fine line between these two. And as a person, the whole, I would say the eureka moment is when you realize that what is in your control and what is not. So leave what is not in your control and don't stress about it. So this is all I would say. Thank you so much.
So beautifully said, ma'am. It's very, very important to have the life skills as an integral component of the skills that you need to, learn, the competence and the ability that you can only perform in your organization when you can balance it with your life. So work-life balance, if you are able to manage, you need to just have the right kind of routine with yoga and meditation as an integral component of that. Thank you, ma'am. Now, do we have Pramodji? Pramodji?
Yeah, ma'am. Basically, ma'am, thanks. Yeah, I'm available. Basically, I'm far away from the city area. Basically, I'm in one location of my 90 megawatt power plant. Thanks all. I'm not connecting with you at right lane due to network problems. And I'm in Balrampur, which is eastern part of the UP. And basically, we are in the manufacturing units. And I have to visit over here. So there is a constraint. I could not explain my real thinking about the industry and academia, what we are expecting from the schools, B school, whether it's a B school, whether it's a college and all the things. And a lot of insights has been given by, I was very delightful to have his appearance, Mr. Kumar Vishwanathan. He has delivered all the things which could have a student could have possesses. We expecting whenever we are post-pandemic, we are going to have the candidates, particularly from the schools, engineering college and some NITs and some NPTI, because we are in the energy sector. So we prefer to hire the NPTI schools, Durgapur, Nagpur and other places. That's is another kind of recruitment process we do have. So we prepare, and I will tell these all schools, suppose we are hiring for a boiler operator, boiler engineer. So what we expect from them they should have a good skill set of he has basically we prefer to have three things in the candidates. That is, we call it GCV, because we measure the efficiency of coal, because we are engaged in the thermal power plant where we use coal for power generation. And the efficiency of coal is measured in a GCV, gross calorific value. So we, just as HR guys, we have converted this GCV as we spell out it as a G stand for growth. The candidates have a
I think, sir,
Yeah.
network issue.
Yeah, it's really wonderful, the insight that you gave to us. We always say to have the right kind of skills, we should have the right kind of attitude. I would like to take a comment of everyone for this, that attitude, knowledge, skills, habits, they all go hand in hand. So maybe I can start with Anubhaji, you.
Yeah, certainly. When it comes to habits, right? The first thing is, like, there are people who can do work, but how well you do a work differentiates you from others, right? So it's a differentiator. So it's a kind of a habit that how well you perform a task, whether it's personal or professional, that like the integrity with which you do your thing is very important, right? So that has to be the part of every life. So right from your early years, you need to develop this habit of doing your thing with perfection. When I say perfection, perfection is like, it's a relative thing, right? So and otherwise too, like perfection is something that actually doesn't exist. But whatever you are doing, if you are doing it with full integrity, you are doing it to your best, then certainly you can expect the good results, right? So one thing is to do a task, and second thing is to do with how much integrity you are doing it, right? So you need to develop the integrity in yourself. So that has to be the part of your habit. And second is that you have to do things on time. If you are the one who keeps on delaying things, that won't work in your professional life, as well as dangerous for you as for your personal growth as well, right? So second thing that you need to develop right from beginning is that you need to be on time for things, right? The third thing which I feel is very important, and the research has also been done on it over the 18 years of time. The research has been done, conducted by Harvard University, and they just try to make out that what actually differentiates the good students or the successful people from the others, right? So they found out that it's persuasiveness. So how persuasive you are while doing, like, we can also see this is like, when we do our higher studies, say for an example, PhD, right? So we see that lot many candidates, they enroll themselves, but over a period of time, lot many of them, they drop out as well, right? So how persuasive you are, failure or success is different thing, but how persuasive you are actually differentiates you from others. So that has to be a differentiator as well, right?
Yeah, actually, you have put it in the right perspective that integrity is one important, what you call a value system or a mindset or something that every student should adhere to. In fact, everyone should adhere to, not just the students. And in present times, you need to have you have to have the right kind of value system beforehand. Before you're going to have the right kind of competence or abilities, you should have the right kind of attitude first. Vandana ji, your take on this? Pramod ji? Unmute. Kamlesh ji?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, please.
So, if we talk about the value system, so in my personal experience, there should be one word came in picture, that's the entrepreneur. So, being as a fresher, when we'll go in the industry, so we think like that, अरे ये तो हमारी 10 से 4 की job है, आएंगे time pass करेंगे, then we'll go back. So after one time of period, we realize that no, we are not doing right thing, because we are doing just a clerical job like that. We are not doing some productive for myself and as for organization point of view also. So there should one new word came in picture, that's entrepreneur, means being as a employee, we should think like the owner of the organization. So if we do like that, then what the result will come. So this value system also, we should not degrade anywhere. There should be some limitation. There should be some personal thing like that. There's some lots of companies information that we should not reveal outside the organization. Organization things is a total different. My personal things is a total different. Even sometimes we may not be agree. This should be right or wrong. But being as a in that periphery, we should follow that value system. So whatever we are doing for our organization, it should be the best for only for my organization. So these kinds of the mindset should become. And other is the I told you, being as a fresher, we should even as per my experience, first one the communication skills, and other is the peer-to-peer relationship also. How we need to treat with my boss, how we need to treat with my colleague, like that. Sometimes we don't like our boss. Even sales के language में एक है कि थोड़ा सा typical, I don't know this is the right platform we should use that, कि boss और boss अपने पसंद का नहीं मिलता. Like so sometimes we don't like to my superior, but we no need to reveal that I don't like that. There is some diplomatic strategy we need to follow that. Even first of all the students, we should follow our seniors, because they have such type of experience. Sometimes we are not agree that he is doing right, whatever he is saying is wrong, but he is saying what are the things that as per his or her experience. So we should leave our some personal arrogance like thing. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you.
Kamlesh, wonderfully articulated that value system is the starting point of each and everything. Every individual, first of all, have to have the right kind of values, and that's the starting point. And we cannot undermine the importance of communication skills in present arena to have good command over language, words, and also interpersonal skills. So Vandana ma'am, if you are there, please talk about a little more on communication and interpersonal skills. Pramodji, are you there? Anubhaji? Anubhaji?
Yeah. So now, instead of values, I'll be talking more on the hard skills that are also needed in present time, right? So because we have already talked a lot about the soft skills part, so there are certain hard skills that has that are of now more importance after the pandemic are your data analytics skills, right? So, because now at a click of a mouse, you have a lot of data available throughout, right? So, the students, while in the college, only need to understand that how they can make use of this data, because data actually is a oil. But then, how to differentiate between the one that is useful for you or for your organization? Because lots of decision will be based on what kind of data you have in hand, right? So the students, while in their college or school, need to understand that how they'll be working on data is important, but then how they'll be differentiating between the data that is important for their organization and what they need to leave aside. They need to learn the skill. Okay, so that is the first thing that they need to work on. And when I need to relate it with your value system as well. This can be also related with the value system when it comes to data. What happens that we are overwhelmed with the information which we have in hand, and many a times what we do is that instead of churning it out, because here comes resilience, that how resilient you are with your things, right? So when you are overwhelmed with the data, the chances are that you might be also leaving the things which are useful for you, right? So the hard skills and the soft skills, they actually go hand in hand, right? So we need to understand that how these hard skills can be incorporated well with the soft skills, so that you can actually enjoy the success in your professional career, right?
Yeah, the key takeaway is that hard skills and soft skills, they are two sides of the same coin. So you need to have the competence and ability in both the fronts. And there's this another thing that we believe that as a part of curriculum of our UG and PG programs, we have corporate internship as an integral component, and students are expected to do their internship in the organizations for 45 days and come up with a project report and all. So what's your take? This question is for all the panelists, that what's your take on this, that how important are these trainings in the corporates for developing the right kind of skills?
Certainly these trainings are important, but then again comes the point that how with what kind of seriousness you are doing your trainings. Because while in college, I have also seen, why I myself was in college, I have seen the students who are not serious about those things, right? What they do is either they copy their reports from someone else, or when they go in the offices, they go there just for the sake of going. So you have to change the attitude towards what you are doing, right? When you go for such kind of trainings, as I said, that trainings are important because they give you first-hand understanding of how the corporate work. So you need to be actually serious about doing your trainings, and on the same time, you need to understand that what it takes to be a good professional. So unless you are doing your things with integrity, as I said, with because the kind of seriousness that you are putting in your own work decides that how well you will learn. See, we teach the same kind of curriculum to all the students, but why this then happens that some of them they tops the university and others fail. The same teachers, the same curriculum, the same environment. So it's the seriousness with which you are putting yourself into a task decides, right? So trainings certainly are important because they gives you first-hand understanding of the corporate culture and work. But then equally important is the seriousness of the students himself or herself. So that decides that whether the trainings will work for you or not. Your own personal, what to say, your own personal involvement in it, right? So that is important.
Yeah, so we agree that you learn more by doing. So learning by doing is important. Vandana ma'am, would you like to say something?
Yes,
Pramodji?
I would just say, ask yourself a
Yes.
little question: why you want to do that training? If it is just for certification, do a certification course, as I think Kamlesh was suggesting. Why waste time of industry in doing so? And my time is very important, let me tell you. So every minute we spend on you costs some money for my company. So use this judiciously. And it's very important to pick out the brains who are in the industry. So if you're not prepared to do that, please don't come to an industry. Just do a certification course, which is very readily available. And I would say that when you are talking to a recruiter, the recruiter will know what you have done. So if your objective is, you gain something, you learn something, then do it judiciously. Pick out a project which is important to the company and the industry where you are going. It's not about you. It's about the industry that you are going to. So pick out a project which is important to them, and then only do it and contribute, because these days, skills are readily available. If you go on Coursera, there's so many MOOCs which are freely available or with a very, nominal fees. So those skills are available, and we as industry are looking forward to young people who become job ready when they come to us. I know of many of my students in different colleges who come and do these internships with us, and are placed very beautifully. A lot of batches are picked up with by one college, from one college batch and all. So I would say that it's very important that you take it seriously. I think there's not enough stress that can be given on that. So it's all about integrity, which every industry values. So learn that when you're going to us or coming to us. Thank you.
Ma'am, I would
Yeah.
like to add something. When we see, actually, one day I was thinking, since when internship model came in picture, because we are living in industrial area, we can say industrial revolution after that. So I was thinking, when I've gone, there was a Gurukul system in our earlier education system. So in I think yeah, right. So in Gurukul system, there is also internship model. When all the students, they went outside, they demanding some big and all. So it was not meaning that they are going to set an umpire, they are going to earn money like that. It was a lesson how life is tough. When you enter on Grihastha Jivan, then you will realize all these things are required. So what the importance of these things? So same like that, now we are living in some industrial revolution like that, we can say, whatever the name we can give. But there is one gap between academia and industry, ma'am. There may be some limitation from the academia side. There may be some, they're reluctant. Most of the colleges, what they are doing, because they need to do just because of it's a mandatory from the some governing body. You need to do this project work and all. So being as a student, we have done same thing. Copy pasted project report and submit just for namesake. So like that. So reason I think there is some gap. University or academia should create the seriousness for this internship program. As Dr. Anupama Madam rightly told, it's a depend upon the seriousness. Students should think about that. Yeah, it's not just a part of our academic curriculum. It's an entry gate. When they will perform, they will understand the organizational structure, organizational model, how this will work, what the HR department, operation, design, training, everything. So they should understand. So that's why it's only I'm requesting to all the academicians like that. Absolutely, because it's a mandatory from the some governing body. They have to do. It's because of their course curriculum. But they should create a seriousness among the students when they are going for the internship. So this was the only, man. So this my thought process on this particular topic. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Now, Pramodji, would you like to take something?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Basically, I was talking about the recruitment. When we go for colleges, we see three things. That's why I just earlier started that. GCB, that's a stand for, this is a parameter for measuring the efficiency up to GCB, gross calorific value. G stand for growth mindset. We take it whenever we appear in the colleges for the people's growth mindset. G stand for growth mindset. C stand for continuous learning. We see that kind of attitude candidates have. And for value addition is the candidate. Question is that is the another. We will talk later on. And the most important is that I would expect whenever I speak over any form senior like ma'am and Vishwanathan ji and Mathur and Ashok Gupta. Whenever I interact during whatever the interaction, I would always suggest him, sir, there is a correlation, there is a amalgamation of industry and academia. What industry is willing to have that kind of candidate, that kind of traits a candidate should have? And the academia should think about that kind of skill they should prepare, because they could develop, they could train them, so that when we comes to the colleges, we find such kind of traits, such kind of skill the candidate should have. So first thing I would request through this work, there should be a direct interaction between the industry and the academia. I always prefer to do that. Now the question is that for which this HR conclave has been conducted. Employability skill. What kind of traits, what kind of skill we are just exploring, we are just finding in a candidate, or the student should have. Ma'am, Vandana ma'am has rightly illustrated it in a way that whenever you assigned a task by another speaker, just forget this, Kamleshji, it is strictly and denoted and exhibited the such kind of things during the panel discussion. They should have a growth mindset. First thing, that the student should have in a mind, they हमें develop करना है. I should have to develop, but
Pramodji, the connection.
I think ma'am, we lost him. Yeah.
So we'll take forward the discussion from what he was talking about, that as an academicians or as an educational institutions, we need to provide certain kind of skills. So I want to have your perspective, the industry perspective. Do you think there is a mismatch, what you expect and what we are delivering, or there's a, the perception and expectations, there's some gap? Vandana ji.
Sorry, could you please repeat the question?
The question is that as Pramodji was saying, that they have a lot of expectations from the academic institutions, the organizations and the B schools, that they are expected to provide certain kind of skills to the students. So when you are hiring them, do you find there's a gap? Academic organizations and higher education institutions is providing them with the right kind of skills, or there's a gap?
Okay, I would say a lot has improved. The educational institutes are providing a lot of life skills these days, and there is a great industry and academic connect, like what we are doing right now. So you do understand what the industry wants. But I would say that gap remains, and we also expect that the gap will remain. So it's about making them ready and closing the gap as soon as someone joins us. So we do have
Expectations from
detailed.
the industry. If we
Sorry?
can get some insight from your side, certain expectations that you expect from the academic institutions, that these are the skills.
See, it's not just about skills. It's about understanding the organization and understanding what is the job that they are required to do. So it's culture immersion, which is very important. So whenever a person is joining, everybody has their own models on how they would, welcome this person. So most of the industries have their own mentoring programs. They have certain details training programs. So like we do have training programs at the entry level for our executive trainees, for our lateral entries. So we try and bridge those gaps. Earlier we were doing that for 1 year. Now we have, it's all about how shorter we can do this training. So it's just about giving them some basic inputs and then making them work ready, probably put them on job training. So I would say that when you are talking with industry, I would say that we have a close connect. I know of industries who are signing MOUs and entering into agreements with industry for future skills. We are also doing that with certain institutes. So that is a good model on how you can progress. So I understand that you are based out of Jaipur, so I'm not so sure about what's the scene in Jaipur. But why limit yourself to Jaipur? These days, digitization has already happened. I'm connecting to you from a place which is called Uchahar in district Raebareli. So there's the connectivity is seamless. There are seamless opportunities. Why restrict yourself to one industry, one location, one country? So it's location agnostic these days. It's just about reaching out. And believe me, industry is also industry understands that we need to handhold institutes and probably bridge this gap. So it's a mutual benefit and it's a mutual give and take which happens. So you also need to go with value proposition to the industry on what is it that they are looking at. It's not just about campus placements and all, but it could be a different model altogether. So this is all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Yeah, wonderfully articulated, ma'am. Definitely, it's the more closely we as organizations, academic institutions, more closely if we work with the industry and we collaborate and we kind of do this work unitely, and then we can groom the students so that they are industry ready. We always say that they should be ready on their personal front and the career front both. So nice. Yeah. Kamlesh, do you have anything to say?
No, ma'am. Thank you. All actually, Vandana ma'am almost she covered, and rest of thing
Yes.
Pramod sir also covered. So I don't have anything to say on that topic.
Now, one thing, we have, all people as our esteemed panelists who are leading their respective organizations. So the single most, I would like to ask everyone, what is the single most important skill, according to you, which is very, very important for all the students to inculcate in them? Vandana ji, I can start with you, maybe.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, Vandana ma'am. Yeah.
Resilience, I would say, topmost in today's world.
Agree to you completely, ma'am. Kamlesh ji?
Yeah. For my side, ma'am, that's the attitude. Only that thing that under the attitude, everything will cover, I think.
Yeah,
We all
attitude
are
is most important.
Everything, but all that attitude word itself wide. So hum bol sakte na, it's a samudra. So like that. if we have mindset, we can achieve how we understand how we can do all these things. Even I was learning.
Attitude.
Yeah, ma'am. Even I was listening one video because you see in YouTube lots of motivational speaker came. They say for your success, we need.
So you are mute now. We are not able to hear you, ma'am, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now it's audible, ma'am.
Yeah,
Actually,
it is.
I was listening a video. So one Desi speaker, means Desi guy came. He told, to achieve anything, you just have one thing. That's a willpower. If you have the willpower at a level, you can find out the way how you can go. No need to.
Again, sir.
That's I'm saying that that's attitude and willpower. If these two things we have, if anyone have, he or she, they can achieve whatever they want, ma'am. So the rest other, that's the branches I can say, but this is the only the step.
Yeah, the stepping stone is the having right kind of attitude or a positive attitude to learn new things, new skills, and that's how you start. Attitude, knowledge, and skills, they go hand in hand. I completely agree. Yeah. This is the post-pandemic era. So what do you think? What has changed during this course of time? What new skills are expected from the students? And what is your take on that? Anubhaji?
Yeah. So the one thing which we need to now focus more on is that the students need to be like accustomed with and comfortable with all kind of their video interviews and telephonic interviews as well, right? So because the time are changing, and as ma'am also pointed out that this is the time of globalization and we can't restrict ourselves to the places anymore. And like, you'll also see that we are noticing it that the work culture is also changing, right? So now we have more jobs of the work from home kind, right? So same way the recruitment processes in the companies are also changing. So students who are looking for job in future, they need to be now they need to get accustomed with doing the or taking the video interviews as well as telephonic interviews, right? That I see as an important aspect of developing in our students nowadays, right? And the second thing is that when it comes to work from home, the good thing about this is that you work from the comfort of your own home, but then it has the side effects as well. When you go in an office, you do share formal and informal platforms of knowledge sharing, but when you sit alone and perform your task, you miss those opportunities of sharing information and knowledge, and on the same time you miss opportunities of interacting with people, right? Because when you go to a place, you meet people in person. When you meet people in person, you certainly learn more people skills. So these two things we lack when we work from home, right? So certainly they need to be they need to get this highlighted in their mind that if they are working from home, they need to be more vigilant to what kind of people skills they are developing, right? Because when it comes to leadership will take people, the leaders are the ones who take people along with them, right? So if you're working from home, you need to like explicitly focus on developing these skills in yourself, right? Thank you.
Yeah, Anubhaji, you have rightly said that virtual is new normal, and now students need to adapt to the new reality, and they have to develop those skills which are needed to adapt to the times that we are in. Anubhaji, there's one thing I always wanted to know: what is the most important skill, according to you, that every graduating student need to possess?
As Vandana ma'am rightly pointed out, it's resilience, how persuasive you are. So whatsoever you are doing, the success only depends on that how persuasive you are, right? How determined you are to follow certain thing or to achieve certain thing. So if you are persuasive, you need to understand one thing very well, that nowadays, no jobs are for life, right? You can't expect that you are taking your degree in a certain domain and you will be having your jobs throughout your life in the certain domain only, right? When you don't have the jobs for life, you need to be very much open and flexible for all new kind of learnings that are coming your way. So you need to be, you might be required to reskill yourself, you need to be required to upskill yourself. And if you're not resilient, if you're not persuasive, possibly you will not be able to get the success. So always remember that the jobs are no more jobs for life. Okay, so you need to keep on doing new things, learning new things, and that's for that it is important that you need to have the resilience for that, right?
The one important skill which every panelist would agree is resilience. And I too agree to that. Pramodji, would you like to add something to this? Pramodji, are you there? As Anubaji, you were talking about that there are newer skills that they need to acquire. And at the same time, there are newer innovative ways to acquire the skills. So can we throw some light on what are the newer ways or innovative ways to acquire these skills?
Certainly. As Vandana ma'am said that the every minute that the professor spends is important, right? And every minute that we spend with students in industry it involves some kind of a cost, right? And so when you go to an industry, it takes toll on the industry as far the finances are concerned, right? But then what are the other ways which the one thing is the internship that you can go and do in your company. What are the other things that you can you can do in order to develop certain skill which will be needed in your professional life? So for that, what you can do is there are a lot many online platforms available where you can learn those skills. Like say for an example, you do have Coursera, you have Udemy, you have platforms like Vedantu, right? So there are certain online platforms which do offer different courses where you can go and you can do different kind of certifications, and on the same time there are different platforms which offer you like the psychometric tests and all are available online where we can go and check what kind of attitude you do have. Because when it comes to attitude building, there might be the student might get confused that like suppose in case if something is needed in their personality, what is that? Who is there who will come and give them the feedback on it, right? So there are various tools available online as well which can help you grow as grow your personal skills as well as your professional skills. So you can go and perform those kind of tests and all, and also do different kind of certifications which are available online. So those can be done along with definitely the regular internships and all, which are offered by different kind of organizations. And at the same time, what I feel is that whenever you get a chance, also do volunteer activities. Those are also very important. Like students, as for students are concerned, if given the opportunity, either they look for money, which they should not initially, right in the beginning of their career, their focus should not be more on the monetary part, but more it should be the major focus should be on the learning part. And instead of joining, this is my personal experience, instead of joining a bigger organization, initially you better start with some small organization, because when you enter a small organization, there are more responsibilities are given to a single person. So you need to you get more chance of learning in those like small organizations. Tell me what happens that the students they run after the big names. So when you go in a big organization, there is a specified role which is given to you, right? So in that certain organization, you might not get the chance to look at the bigger picture and learn more things. But when you go in the smaller organization, because they lack resources, they lack people. So you are given various roles. You are given more scope of experimentation, and when you experiment more, you learn more. So right. So this volunteer activities can be done, then online certification courses can be done, then you can also take different type of tests which are available, And on the same time, as I said, that if given a chance, you can also work with smaller organizations during your your summer vacations or the holiday time. So that way you can also learn the skills which are actually needed in the industry. Thank you.
So wonderfully articulated, ma'am, that you learn more when you work with the smaller organizations, because you have multitude of tasks assigned and various roles and responsibilities going simultaneously. And when you do more things at same time and your roles are not that defined, you learn more. So students, the key takeaway is there's no substitute to on-the-job training. You should work with the organizations wherever, whenever you get it an opportunity while doing your courses also, and learn more by doing the things. Vandana ji, would you like to add something?
Sorry, again, I'll
Yeah,
have to
ma'am.
ask you.
Yeah, we were just discussing that it's better to work with a startup or a smaller organization to learn more while working in an organization.
Okay, I would say that the smaller organizations, of course, give you more challenges, and probably you see the whole fruit together, because it's all about, in bigger organizations, there are a lot of sections in that fruit. So when you are in one particular section and in a bigger organization, of course, there are more systems, there are more defined processes, and there are more defined challenges, and the team is different. And it's more of an entrepreneurial nature of work in a smaller organization. Of course, a bigger organization can also give that, but it's all about the culture of the organization. So it's a trade-off. And you need to be clear about what is your objective, what is your career objective. So it's if it is about learning the systems and the processes faster, then of course I would say go to a big organization. But if you want the entrepreneurial way of life, you want to accomplish something very quickly, something in very near future, then of course I would suggest go to a smaller organization. So it's all about what you want eventually. Thank you.
It's you who matters the most and what you want to learn in your life. My final question to all of my esteemed panelists, that unemployment is the biggest issue in India. We have immense pool of educated people or youth, but they are not employable. Where are we missing the bus? What's your opinion on that? Vandana ji, maybe we can start with you only.
Yes, sure. So it's about the standard of education that is being, I would say, given in the country. I would only comment on the country's education. So if I talk about whether it is engineering colleges, whether it is technical colleges, whether it is ITI institutions, or whether it is management institutions. So what is the level of quality that is being given? As a country, if I say comment about the education per se, then probably what we are lacking is the major funding which normally global universities get. So there it is all about $1 billion funding, where a lot of research is happening in these universities all across. So if we talk about top 500 universities in the globe, it's all about research and major fundings. But when we come to India, it is only very minuscule percentage of colleges, universities which are really into research. So the industry connect, of course, is based on these kind of research activities. So this is a major gap which is happening in the country. And when it comes to second tier institutes, I would say it's more about understanding the industrial context. So I would say it's not about unemployability. It's about the kind of infrastructure that we have created in the education. It's about the funding that is going, whether it is government funding or it is private sector or if it is industrial funding. So it all boils down to money, I would say. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
so more research orientation universities would have, and that would have, and more closely working with the industry is very, very important, right? Pramodji, would you like to add something to this? Kamleshji? Anubhaji? Okay.
Hello?
Kamlesh,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah,
Yes.
Kamleshji, now you are audible.
Yeah. So Vandana ma'am rightly told ki we are working with the lots of university and all, but there is one gap in our academic segment. We are not focusing on research based academic. So just we are providing degree students, they enrolled in some particular course, now they are claiming that I'm graduate, master and all. But what is skill set, that's a fundamental skills we expect from that kind of a student. But industry is struggling a lot. The reason we are not providing education at the right place, we don't have any objective, we can say. Just and one thing, mushroomization of the colleges. I mean, sorry, maybe this word I cannot say in that forum. So now mushroomization of the private colleges came in the picture. People are just, they are doing business, not work. Earlier it was only service industry. So my word may be some harsh word, but I'm very blunt on that. So we need to work on that. Most of the university like you, I'm agree. We are doing lots of hard work, and so even there are some limitation. They have university have some limitation. We cannot go. So our entire higher education ecosystem, they need to work. We need to focus on the research based education and practical. We are working only theory. Just बच्चा पढ़ाई किया, examination pass किया, और objective is passing the examination. So and we need to for fulfilling the gap, this unemployment. Providing job is not an option, as per my opinion. We should create some entrepreneurship skill as much as, because हर किसी को नौकरी चाहिए, but नौकरी देने वाला, even now if you see in TV, Delhi government, they are promoting some entrepreneurship skill development program. They started in school level. So like that, even our mindset is just बच्चा जैसे ही बड़ा होता है, नहीं पढ़ाई करो, then you have to go get good marks, and after that you will get some good job. Very rare parents ask to नहीं तुम्हें कुछ entrepreneur बनना है, कुछ और करना है. Even lots of opportunity. If you see, madam rightly told, madam from Raebareli, even I'm from Allahabad region. So if you see in the western UP, that's a very, very, very limited being manufacturing industry in the western UP. People have only students have only opportunity to go for education. They will after completing the this academic, they will go for the government job. If they are not successful, they will go in agriculture activity and all. So like that, because there are lots of, we are struggling for the industrial connect. Even being at Jaipur, I know I traveled across North India, so I know Jaipur is very good like that. So this was the entrepreneurship skill development. We should create that mindset in our upcoming professional life. So these are two things. One is the research-based academic, and other was the entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Yes, you have rightly said that focus should not just be on employability skills, but also inculcating entrepreneurial skills among the students. And the focus should be more on practical rather than theory. Anubhaji, would you like to add something to it?
Right. So as ma'am said, that it should be a more research focused and it should be in collaboration with the industry. And as Kamleshji also added to it, that it's also about entrepreneurship. What kind of skills we develop in our students while they are studying with us, right? But my thing is into it is that I have been into teaching. I was associated with teaching, and I've spent a considerable duration of time in the institute as well. I myself was teaching in an engineering college, and then I joined, I switched my career to industry, right? So my point is, because I have seen both the aspects. So my point is that, when you are in a college as a teacher, your responsibility here is to complete the curriculum as well, because you are given the specific period of time, and you do understand that, when we all understand that communication is an important part, right? But then we also understand this very well that teaching communication to a student is not a task of day or two. It takes a considerable period of time to, right? You can during their, like, first year, second year, you can only point to the things which are important from the point of view of communication. But when it comes to practice those things, you need time, right? So, like, in educational institutions, we are not given with that much of time where we can also implement the practical part, right? So instead of, like, burdening students with the huge curriculum, we need to we need to be very meticulous about what kind of curriculum we do have, what kind of content we want to teach to our students, and how well we can point those things to the students so that they can understand the gravity of that certain subject, and then they can pursue that thing on their own. So as a teacher, it's our responsibility to make them understand is one thing, but with what integrity and with what seriousness we are pointing that out, that this piece of learning will go long way to you, is the task of teacher. To make them understand, to complete the task is one thing. That is the responsibility given by your role. But actually, as a teacher, our task is to highlight the importance of that certain thing. That when the student leaves you after the class or after the completion of the certain semester, the students continues to pursue that particular thing, right? So that is important. So this I see as a gap. So, like, just completing the curriculum with the students won't work.
It's very interesting to know, ma'am, that you have worked with academics first and then moved to industry. It's usually the case is that people from industry, they join academics. So definitely your insights are really valuable for us because you have experience of both industry and academics. So wonderful.
As I said earlier, like, earlier in my discussion, that no jobs are life jobs now. So you need to, like, keep look forwarding to the opportunities that life provides to you, right? So that's important.
On that note, we just wrap up our discussions. There are from the students in the chat box. There's one question to Anubha ma'am. That as you said that in big organizations you have a specified work and your work you work more in smaller organization, but then we always can ask for more work and more exposure at bigger organizations, can't we?
Certainly you can, but then as Vandana ma'am said, that there are fixed processes and procedures and systems, right? They have their own set of rules. So, like, I don't feel that it's simply about asking. You will ask and they'll a lot. It's not that. They have their certain processes and they won't violate that, right? But when it comes to smaller organizations, automatically you are given more responsibility because as I told you that there is a lack of human resource, there is lack of other kind of resources. So automatically you are given more responsibilities on those organizations. And as Vanna ma'am rightly pointed out, that it depends solely on your career objective, that how you want to shape your own career, right? So, like, Vandana ma'am could be possibly the right person, but as far I know, it's not about simply asking for more because they have their fixed set of systems and they are very strict about those procedures, right?
And would you like to add something?
Yes, when it comes to larger organization, as Dr. Anubha is saying, it's fixed processes and systems. So it's more about continual improvement in these processes. So there are, models which the companies follow. For NTPC is business excellence model. We have our own model. So there are improvements which gets done. There are at levels where teams get involved, where individuals get appreciation for improving those kind of systems. So it's more about that. But in private organization, it's not about systems. It's about getting the job done and probably achieving targets and goals. And it's more about your own inputs on how you want to get those jobs done. But then, of course, it's not you're not free to do that at your own will. Don't take us wrong if we give you that impression. Even for that matter, smaller organizations, expect certain ways of getting things done. So it's all about that. Of course, in bigger organizations, the amount and the stake involved is higher, but your role may be contributing to that higher goal and objective. So it may be a little bit of difficult finding what your individual contribution is. It's more about teamwork. Same goes with smaller organization, but then there your individual contribution gets more, visible. So it's all about that.
Yeah, absolutely right, ma'am. In the smaller organizations, I believe you get more opportunity to take the decisions. In bigger organizations, you are just the implementers. You are not able to plan the things. So that's the difference. It was indeed a very interactive and insightful session. And I completely agree that we as academic organizations should interact more with industry to get such insights. It was so beautiful. Now over to Priyanka for the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Poonam ma'am, for moderating the session in such a wonderful manner. I thank all my panelists also for being here and for contributing in this discussion so enthusiastically. I saw a lot of personal observations, a lot of personal memories also coming to the fore. And that sort of thing always adds a bit of spice, a bit of personality to these discussions. So I'm very glad that all of you jumped in feet first into the waters that we've all found ourselves in. Right, now I, of course, now request our program coordinator who very kindly put together this meeting for us, Ms. Sharon Sampson, to give the final vote of thanks.
Namaskar, everyone. I'm Sharon Sampson, the placement coordinator, and I'm here to give a vote of thanks. Dr. Ashok Gupta, Honorable Chancellor, IS deemed to be University. Professor Tian Mathur, Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, IS deemed to be University, and all distinguished speakers and students in the audience. It's my privilege to propose a formal vote of thanks on behalf of IS deemed to be University Jaipur at the Mega Virtual HR Conclave 2021. The conclave has been planned in collaboration with ICT Academy. The purpose of the conclave is to upskill the students to acquire and learn new employability skills. And I did like to express my deep gratitude to one and all present here. Thank you, ma'am and sir, for your presence and insights. Your address has set the tone for the deliberation that have taken place here. I also thank all the dignitaries for taking time out of their busy schedules to be here. Thanks are also due to all the students who have come to attend the event. May I take this opportunity to convey thanks for the help and support extended by all faculty members who have been deputed for the event, and the smooth conduct of the event would not have been possible without the team spirit of all my colleagues, student volunteers, and technical and support staff. Thank you once again, and just have a nice day and nice weekend.
अरे सोनिका